We are live at J Street Korean Grill and Bar. This was a fantastic experience. We're cooking everything in front of us right here at the table. We've had ribeye, J Street's famous steak. We had lemon pepper chicken. We had bulgogi. I'm probably butchering it, but I asked like 3 or 4 times how to pronounce it. So it's not for a lack of trying. But you need to try and get out here August 15th. We're going to have a live event, Super Talk Live. Brian Wilson's going to be doing his show. Me, Dan Mandis, Matt Furphy, Pamela Furr, Johnny B. Everybody's going to be here. We're going to cook at the table. We're going to talk politics. All you can eat food. And believe me, look at this spread. When they say all you can eat, it's all you can eat. So join us. Grab your tickets at 997WTN.com. Promo code Chris. And if you need help cooking your steak, I'm here for you. Let's do this thing together.
Hey, good afternoon, everybody. It is 6 minutes now past the hour of 3 o'clock on Super Talk 99.7. Let's kick off another exciting week on the drive. It's going to be sort of a very busy week. I mean, tomorrow we're going to be live remote from Hendersonville, where that's going to be good. Technically, the station, when they do what they call the legal ID, it says Hendersonville, Nashville.
That's true.
So, technically our legal ID, our community, is Hendersonville first, Nashville second. I don't know why, but we serve actually all of Middle Tennessee with that incredible beast of a transmitter that we have. But it is good to be in Hendersonville. I have friends there. I'm going to see if we can get some of them to show up for the J Street Korean Grill and Bar. I talked to Dan Mandis. So here's the way that's going to go tomorrow. Is my show will start at 3 from the J Street Korean Grill and Bar. And then, people will start to arrive. And then the 6 to 7 hour will be, everybody. Everybody will be involved in that conversation. And so that'll be fun. And then we'll visit with folks, and there may be the taking of a few selfies, etc. There are tickets available. Just go to 99.7 WTN.com for more information. And there's a special promo code that will get you $15 off. It's Chris. The name like Christopher, C-H-R-I-S, Chris.
I was
The way
worried
you
you weren't going to
spell
spell
your
it right there for a minute.
Well, I know, but it's your name, but you're not the reason that there is that promo code. Although,
well,
the people can want, if they want, it can be that. But it's Chris Hand, our new
that guy, yeah.
Our new hand in the mornings. Okay. So everything pretty good. I hope you had a good weekend. I don't know. It seemed like to me it was pretty stormy. We had pretty good storms both days, and I was in Mount Juliet while the thing was coming through on Saturday, trying to get into the movie to see Oppenheimer. And then literally while I was standing in the parking lot, they had this horrific apartment fire just a few blocks away in Mount Juliet. Nobody died, but one firefighter is in critical condition as a result of that. And so that, boy, it was quite the spectacle. I want to start off today, if I could, with revisiting what we were talking about on Friday. You say, why are you going backwards? Well, when the Attorney General came out in a quite surprising way late on a Friday and decided that there needed to be a special counsel appointed and that David Weiss would be the special counsel, it was hard to understand what was going on. I mean, yeah, I got to tell you, you say, well, Wilson, you're supposed to have all the answers. Well, you know what? We're in uncharted territory. And there is a part of me that believes he cannot do this under my reading of the special counsel statute. Others have raised this as well. If that's going to be an issue, then let me just say it'll be an issue and it'll be in a court of law. I've come to understand over the years that when you're talking about the law, a lot of people say, well, you read the law and the law is black and white. No, the law is not black and white. The law is infinite shades of gray. And it depends on, how the lawyers present it, how they look at precedent. There's a half a dozen things that make it, something that is difficult to discern at times what the law means, and so I have some real concerns about the legitimacy of the council. But I mean, I also know that if that's true, then you can be sure there are going to be people challenging it and a court of law, and we'll see how that happens. So far, that doesn't seem to be the major conversation. The major conversation is, what did it mean and what was the purpose of it? And I was trying to figure that out. And my instinct, and as I mentioned on Friday, was this is really about a play for time. And as I've thought more about it and I've listened to smart people, I think that's more than likely what this is. It's a play for time to get it through the election cycle. And, look, I don't have any confidence in David Weiss. I mean, here's a man who was going to sign off on a weak, just really weak plea agreement that was going to be nothing more than a slap on the wrist or a rap on the knuckles for Hunter Biden. And so that fell apart, not because it was something that Weiss wanted to have fall apart. It fell apart because the judge didn't like the deal. The judge said, I can't hold my nose and go for this. And so now, rather than, have Hunter Biden, potentially, go to trial and actually face some time, the special counsel has all the time in the world that he needs. And all that he is ultimately responsible for doing here is issuing a final report explaining either why he did or did not prosecute Hunter Biden. So it seems to me the fix is in. I listened with great interest on so many different people this weekend, trying to get a sense of, what the really smart people I admire are saying about this. And for me, the person who best explained it all was Ted Cruz speaking on the Sunday morning futures with Maria Bartiromo. And so I'm going to play out quite a bit of Ted Cruz here, trying to explain how he sees this whole thing.
Well, this appointment is camouflage and it's cover-up. I think it's disgraceful. Listen, David Weiss was the U.S. attorney handpicked to lead this investigation, who spent the last 5 years covering it up. David Weiss, who was personally selected by the two Democrat senators from Delaware, Tom Carper and Chris Coons. For 5 years, the investigation has gone nowhere other than to protect Hunter Biden and Joe Biden. Not only that, David Weiss is the one that is subject to two whistleblower complaints from senior career IRS officials who came forward. They said they'd never seen an investigation like this in their entire time in law enforcement. They said that the Department of Justice, lawyers working for David Weiss, protected the Biden family, that they gave heads up to Hunter Biden before search warrants were executed, presumably so that he could hide incriminating evidence, that they refused to allow them to ask any questions at all about the big guy, about Joe Biden, that they were focused on, you cannot inquire into President Joe Biden's personal corruption. And the result of all of that is that David Weiss either was an active participant in covering up this criminality and protecting Joe Biden in engaging in obstruction of justice. That's option one. Or option two, he wasn't the driver. He was just complicit. He was so weak that he couldn't stop the partisans in Main Justice from turning it into a political effort to protect Joe Biden. Either case, he is a wildly inappropriate person to be a special counsel.
Well, I agree with that. I mean, given the history here and how he was unable, to bring this thing forward. I mean, honestly, if you were interested in and you felt like I've got a case here and I'm gonna try to bring it, and then you feel like you're getting blocked, there are things you can do. Like, number one, raise your hand and start making noise. And he didn't do anything like that. More from Ted Cruz, and as he sort of wraps up his big thinking on this. I mean, he is so effective in taking, 50 little points and then working them all together into a narrative.
We need a special counsel to investigate Joe Biden and the $20 million that his family received while he was vice president. The allegation now is for official favors that he was selling. That is bribery. It's not a little gun charge on Hunter. It is bribery of the president of the United States is what these allegations are. And this special counsel, he ain't going to do anything to get to the bottom of that. Congress has its own authority, and I believe the only progress we're going to see over the next year and a half on this corruption is going to come from Congress. It's going to come from the House of Representatives, James Comer and Jim Jordan, both of whom are doing a phenomenal job. They have subpoena power. They're using it. They'll continue to use it. It's important to understand, this is often discussed as Hunter's business dealings. This was not Hunter's business dealings. This was Joe Biden's business. Hunter has no marketable skills. No one on planet Earth would pay him $20 million to do anything. What Hunter was selling was daddy. This was Joe Biden's business, shaking down, mind you, not shaking down our friends, not shaking down France or England or Italy, but shaking down corrupt oligarchs in communist China to the tune of over $20 million. Hunter was the salesman, but the product was Joe Biden's personal favors, and that is, if true, corruption at the very highest level of government.
Well, he's absolutely correct. This is what we're dealing with. And so it's now up to again, I told you that the big difference that happened that moved the needle for investigations into Hunter Biden and Joe Biden is that the House of Representatives is now controlled by Republicans. And James Comer is doing everything he can, Jim Jordan doing everything he can to get at some of these documents which have become so problematic. In fact, if it were not for, what the House has done, I don't think the judge would have stopped the plea deal. In other words, this stuff gets reported and it goes out into the world, and the judges read the newspaper, they see this stuff, they're asking questions. Well, with all of this stuff that's being raised, why are we doing a plea deal to let this guy off the hook? And I have a hard time arguing with anybody who comes to that conclusion that it just didn't smell right. It was horribly ineffective prosecution of Hunter Biden. So I don't trust the special counsel. That's the bottom line. If somehow he said, well, I kept getting turned away. What I need now is special counsel authority. What makes you think you're going to use it when you were ready just a few days before to sign off on a very weak plea deal? I mean, there's nothing that gives me the confidence that he's just now trying to do everything he wanted to do before but couldn't. So our hope here, as we go forward and as this thing continues to percolate, our hope here is that the House Oversight Committee, House Judiciary Committee, and all those others that are investigating elements of all of this continue their work. And then I think it is time. And I would think that maybe by the time Congress comes back into session at the end of the August recess, I think that it may be time to begin the impeachment inquiry it sort of supercharges the powers of Congress to investigate matters, and would allow that to go forward. Look, the special counsel had an opportunity and blew it. I don't think that being given a do-over is going to change things. I really don't. And this stuff that Cruz was talking about, so this isn't Hunter Biden's business. This is Joe Biden's business. That basically you were selling Joe Biden, and that Hunter Biden was not the man that needs to be looked at. Hunter Biden was a salesman, selling his father's influence to some really shady characters around the world. This cannot stand. This needs to be investigated. If the special counsel, suddenly, grows a pair and is able to get this done, okay, I'll be shocked, stunned, and amazed. But I think the eggs in the basket, the eggs I would want to put my basket in right now, are James Comer and Jim Jordan. Those two guys right there have the power to get this done. By the way, Karine Jean-Pierre asked today about, all of the stuff that has happened.
I'm going to continue saying what I have said before. The president was not in business with his son. That still stands. And just don't have anything else to add. I've been very clear about that. The president's been very clear about that. Anything else specific to this case, I would have to refer you to the Department of Justice.
It's a play for time. And let's hope that the continued efforts of the House Oversight Committee will bear fruit. 21 minutes now past the hour of 3 o'clock on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Well, if your air conditioner has gone down, you need to call this number, 615-775-7833. The folks at Busy Bee will buzz right over to your house and get on it, get you back up and running. Now, that's usually all you really need, but sometimes maybe you've got a bigger problem. Maybe you've got a system that's, 20 years old or so, and you need to replace it. No better value on replacement of HVAC or plumbing systems than at Busy Bee. You should become a member of the Beehive Club. You get 3 thorough maintenance services on your systems, one aimed at heating, one aimed at cooling, one aimed at plumbing, no overtime charges 24/7, 10% off all repairs. So for satisfaction guaranteed, call Busy Bee Plumbing, Heating, and Cooling, 615-775-7833, online at busybeehvac.com.
A student with a gun at a Nashville high school, updates from Hunter Biden's attorneys, and the latest on Hawaii wildfires. Those stories and more coming up 30 minutes after the hour of 3 o'clock. I'm Mac Morey here, Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
You know, that fire in Hawaii is just, I mean, the more you see the pictures, the more you see just how tragic it is. I mean, where do you run when you're on an island that's on fire? You know,
Scary,
and the death toll is approaching. I don't know. Last time I saw it was like 96, almost 100, somewhere near there. But one way or the other, it's really how quickly that happened. And one assumes that what happened is that the wind started blowing and somehow a power line, probably sagged, and then there was a problem. I mean, there's nobody who said that definitively, but it sort of sounds like that's probably what happened. The question is, well, will the government react in the way that it was? Well, we've got Deanne Criswell. She spoke today about all that. Here's Deanne Criswell, the director of FEMA.
Nothing can prepare you for what I saw during my time here, and nothing can prepare them for the emotional toll of the impact that this severe event has taken on them. The coming days and the weeks, they're going to be tough. They're going to be difficult as people process what they have lost and what the road ahead looks like. But we are going to be with the people of Hawaii, as I have committed to the governor, every step of the way. We are already seeing a tremendous amount of effort and resiliency across the community as they are coming together to support each other as they work through what this is going to look like in the future. And together with our voluntary agencies and our federal partners, we will be in Hawaii every step of the way to help residents take control of their recovery and help them rebuild in a way that is going to make them more resilient.
Well, there you go. That's of course the desire. But will they actually be able to get things there in a timely manner? Look, everybody remembers Katrina, and everybody when there's an event, they're gonna do everything they can to move heaven and earth. I just want to remind, a couple things come to mind here. You never know when the tragedy is coming, in your area. I mean, for us in our area, I think, one of the things that we're not prepared for in a way we probably should be is the potential for a really massive earthquake. We sit between a couple of faults here in Nashville, and that when one of them goes, it's supposed to be, really bad. We could have any other kind of thing. We could have tornadoes, of course, which we've all been through here in this area. But one way or the other, I think we all have to stop and think about, am I prepared, even on a minimal level, for the things that I might need in times of emergency? Because, what's the old saying, when you need police, the police are minutes away. Well, the federal government will come, but it takes about a week really for them to get their resources up and running. So you've got to go 5, 6, 7 days before you're going to get any substantial help in a real crisis. And I say this as someone who's been to and covered some real crises. So I think, that's the first thing that comes to my mind. The second thing that comes to my mind is, where the hell is our president? I mean, all weekend long, he had many opportunities. He was within reach of reporters. He could have come to the cameras. He could have said something about, we're on it. Our hearts and prayers go out to the people of Maui. Any of those things. He hasn't said one word about it. And he just keeps avoiding the press, and he keeps avoiding reporters, mainly because he thinks that the second question is going to be about Hunter Biden, and he wants to avoid that. Well, you know what? If you're the commander in chief, if you're the leader of the free world, if you are the president of America, you ought to be damn well able to go to a camera and express some remorse about what people in your country are suffering through. And he didn't do that at all. Hasn't once since this whole thing took place. It's 30 minutes now past the hour of 3 o'clock.
3:30, I'm Mac Maury with your top stories. 91 degrees, a sunny day in Nashville. Some storms possible, some showers possible, rather, throughout this afternoon into the evening. But it looks like a clear, sunny week ahead of us. Traffic and weather coming up in 5 minutes. Some breaking news here in Tennessee. A 16-year-old student at East High School was arrested today after a gun was found inside of his backpack. Administrators found the 9mm handgun, and that 11th grader would not answer any questions about why he brought the firearm or where he got it. And attorneys for Hunter Biden now say in a court filing today that a diversion agreement on a gun charge is, quote, valid and binding, while furthering the plea agreement on tax charges is moot after it fell apart in court. Brittany Shepard has more.
Lawyers for the president's son now argue that the second part of his plea deal remains in effect. That diversion agreement on a felony gun charge would allow Hunter Biden to avoid prosecution if he adheres to certain terms. His attorneys say that that portion was a separate contract negotiated and entered outside the presiding judge's purview. Prosecutors have suggested that additional charges could be filed in California or Washington, D.C. But in the meantime, a judge has ordered prosecutors to respond to Biden's attorneys by noon on Tuesday.
And the Hawaii wildfires, Americans should expect to hear from the president soon about the destruction in Maui, according to the White House press secretary. Here's Jay O'Brien.
Pressed by reporters in a briefing Monday, White House press secretary Karine Jean-Pierre said she couldn't give a timeline of when the president would speak again about the devastation in Hawaii, but adding the president has been in close touch with the governor and the FEMA administrator who's on the ground there.
With all of these officials, the president has had a comprehensive discussion about the remaining challenges, the need to prioritize the safety and health of residents who have been displaced, and long-term recovery.
And the last time President Biden addressed the wildfires was at the beginning of remarks on military health care in Utah last week. He signed an emergency declaration that same day, freeing up federal funds for the recovery effort. That's the latest news, weather, and traffic next. I'm Mac Maury, WTN News.
We are live at J Street Free Grill and Bar. This was a fantastic experience. We're cooking everything in front of us right here at the table. We've had ribeye, J Street's famous steak. We had lemon pepper chicken. We had bulgogi. I'm probably butchering it, but I asked like 3 or 4 times how to pronounce it. So it's not for a lack of trying. But you need to try and get out here August 15th. We're going to have a live event, Super Talk Live. Brian Wilson's going to be doing his show. Me, Dan Mandis, Matt Furphy, Pamela Furr, Johnny B. Everybody's going to be here. We're going to cook at the table. We're going to talk politics. All you can eat food. And believe me, look at this spread. When they say all you can eat, it's all you can eat. So join us. Grab your tickets at 997WTN.com. Promo code Chris. And if you need help cooking your steak, I'm here for you. Let's do this thing together.
Well, let me tell you about something that's going to happen in just a few days, August 17th, later this week, over at the Marriott in Cool Springs. It's a market halftime report with the folks at Beacon Capital Management. Now, I'm a big fan of the folks over there, and I think they have it just right. Sometimes, you just need a set of fresh eyes to look at what you're doing and look at things and decide whether or not you've got everything's covered, all the bases are covered, and sometimes you need to make a small mid-course correction. Well, what better time than the middle of 2023 to do that and to hear from some of the experts over at Beacon about some of the financial trends and opportunities and the outlooks for the future. You're going to hear from John Maxson. You're going to hear from Pete Benson. You're going to hear from the real experts over there, and they got them. And then I'll be there to open up the thing and have opening comments at 10:30 and hopefully get a chance to shake your hand and say hello. So, again, if you have not made arrangements to be there, there's still time to do so. beaconcm.com, or just call them right now at this number, 615-488-9303. And talk them through it, and then get your RSVP so we'll know that you're going to be there. Again, it's the Market Halftime Report, August 17th. That's later this week at 10:30 a.m. at the Marriott in Cool Springs. I'll be there. All the experts from Beacon will be there, and we look forward to seeing you there as well. 35 minutes now past the hour. It's 38 minutes now past the hour of 3 o'clock on Super Talk 99.7. I'm Brian Wilson, your friend and radio buddy. There in the newsroom, it's Mac Morey with all your stories. And there's Chris Webber doing the thing he does with all the blinky buttons, making things go so smoothly as always. Guys, I got a story here for you. Remember the other day I told you that there was going to be a test of the Robo taxis in Nashville.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
Yeah. And so the real question was, well, the question I was asking at the time is, do you trust yourself? Do you trust to get into a cab where there's no driver? And, I don't know how it's going to be used in Nashville. My thinking it's probably going to be limited to certain things downtown. And then,
Hopefully,
I think so. And mostly the traffic down there is pretty slow, but still it's heavy. It's at times really heavy.
That's true.
And so, that was my question. Do you feel safe getting into a taxi cab that has no driver, that is going off of technology, GPS, that kind of stuff? Apparently not the question we should have been asking.
Uh-oh.
Oh, no.
Yeah. Are you ready for people who will misuse the taxi cabs, for example?
Uh-oh.
Yeah. And apparently this has already been going on for some time in the city of San Francisco.
Well,
and
anything goes out there.
Surprise, surprise.
Well, that's right. And apparently, according to this, San Franciscans are having sex in robo-taxis.
Of course they are.
And nobody is talking about it. I mean, from the San Francisco Standard, because, we go everywhere for our news. Ever thought about getting down and dirty in a robo-taxi? Want to light up a cigarette or maybe something else on the drive home from the club? You're not alone. As autonomous vehicles become increasingly popular in San Francisco, some riders are wondering just how far they can push the vehicle's limits, especially with no front seat driver or chaperone to discourage them from questionable behavior.
Suspension limits on the vehicle?
If the robo-taxi is rocking, don't come knocking. Well, apparently, for some, that's a welcome invitation to test the autonomous vehicle's limits. Megan, a woman in her 20s, took her first robo-taxi ride on a recent late-night excursion. It was also her first time, apparently, having sex in a driverless vehicle. The Standard is not providing exact dates. This is to protect the riders' debauchery, to protect their privacy, but has verified the rides took place through documentation. Names have been changed in this story because they wanted to protect the rights of the privacy. Well, I mean, we just got in. So here's where it gets down. We got in and just got straight to it. Making out, said Megan.
So they planned to do it. It wasn't. It didn't just happen.
Well, it sounds that way. Megan got into the cruise wearing nothing but a robe.
Well,
one thing led to another, and he made sure that I was taken care of, if you will.
Good.
I don't know if I can read this. It's even. She apparently did not have any undies on, and she had on a kimono, and apparently things progressed pretty quickly there in the back of the robo-taxi.
Yikes.
The man, an accomplice, in his 30s, we'll call Alex. By his estimates, he's done this a lot. He's performed at least 6 sex acts in robo-taxis, ranging from make-out sessions to full-on, go-at-it sex. No boundaries activity.
Alex is a busy guy.
Yeah, Alex gets around, it sounds.
Yes, he does. Well, in more ways than one.
The Standard has spoken to 4 separate cruise car riders who say they have had sex or hooked up in the driverless vehicles in San Francisco over recent months and have provided the ride receipts to prove. The Standard was unable to find a source who said they'd had sex in a Waymo. I don't know, I guess it's like another robo-taxi.
Yeah, that's another driverless.
I don't know.
I've got 2 questions that come to mind when I think about this. The first is, surely there are cameras inside these robo-taxis, right? I mean,
I would think so.
So that's the first thing.
Yeah.
The second question I have is, Well, that's all well and good. I'm glad you had a good time. But what about the next guy that's got to get in the car to take a ride?
I know.
Come on, man.
Now, as I've seen pictures of the inside, I got pictures here. There's room back there because they have two seats and they face each other. So there's two seats. One is facing backwards, the other's facing forwards, and there's a lot of room. So things could happen, but it's not tinted glass. They're not tinted windows. And anybody, if you're driving down, Lower Broad going pretty slow.
You're bumper to bumper. Yeah.
Yeah. People are going to be able to see what you're doing in there.
A little bit of an exhibitionist, I guess.
And maybe that's what it is. Now, the robot eyes, how much can you get away with in an autonomous vehicle if they're effectively window-covered hotel rooms? It was really quite funny because Alex, this is quoting Alex again, the cruise got quite hot and fogged up to the point that the windshield was completely fogged over. In any other context, that would be a problem. Unfortunately for the debaucherous among us, robotaxi companies currently use a pretty extensive camera surveillance inside and outside of their cars. Mm-hmm. We record video inside the car for added safety and comfort. I mean, some people have said, I got into the Robo taxi and I had a beer. And that they warned me at the end of the ride that if I ever did that again, that I would never be able to ride it. I would be banned from using the Robo taxi.
So somebody was watching what that sounds like,
somebody
right?
was able to pick up that he had a beer and was drinking a beer.
Well,
so I don't know.
Well, this completely changes my answer on if I'd ride in one of these. That's for sure. I'm now a no.
You're now a no.
I'm now a no.
Without having a bunch of Santa wipes with you to make sure that.
I mean, it's questionable enough to get in some taxis, but if I think that some funny business might have been going on in the back of this one before I get in it,
no.
I don't think I want to sit in that car.
No, not in the hoo-ha. No. What? Not when they're doing the hoo-ha. No.
What? What's that mean?
Yeah, that should not come as a surprise, though. I guess.
Cruise and Waymo like to tout their cars will never drive drunk, high, or impaired. A position Cruise in particular is plugged in its partnership with Mothers Against Drunk Driving. See, now that makes a lot of sense. Go with Mothers Against Drunk Driving because what you're doing is you're saying, don't be drunk. Just get into the cab and it will take you home.
Mm-hmm.
The state vehicle code's pretty clear on that, apparently, in California. Drivers and passengers are prohibited from drinking alcohol, smoking marijuana, or possessing open containers of either substance in their car while on a public road. It doesn't really get into, what about sex? Is sex allowed in a car?
They didn't think they'd have to address that, is what it sounds like. No one thought about, we need to put a policy in place for this.
Yeah.
Well, they were wrong. They do need a policy.
I don't know.
Or either a good cleaning service.
Yeah, it is San Francisco. and the mores of that town may be perhaps not the same mores as we have here in God-fearing Middle Tennessee. I don't know. But I don't know. I think it's going to happen. Lower Broadway.
Party Central.
A few drinks.
That's right.
You're headed back to the hotel. You're headed back to the house. One thing leads to another. There's no driver in the front. I don't
Slide on over, honey. Get a little closer.
That's right.
Next thing you know, it's just, there you go.
Oh, my.
Yikes.
What is the world coming to? Well, anyway. Wow. Hey, you want to take a ride in my Robo taxi? Come on. Let's go, honey. Let's just go out to the curb and flag down a Robo taxi.
Flag them down.
How you doing, huh? All right, it is on that really creepy note. It is now 48 minutes now past the hour of 3 o'clock on Super Talk. Grace Point Healthcare delivers medicine affordably with menu-style transparent pricing so you'll know how much it will cost before the care is delivered. Smart Care plans start at $69 a month. You get unlimited office visits and free basic labs for the entire year. And because you treat the whole family, because they treat the whole family, even newborns, you can get a family plan as well. Now, here's the idea. You marry that with a high deductible insurance plan that you may already have, and you could save you and your family hundreds of dollars. At Grace Point, they take their time with each patient. They see you the same or next day. There are no long wait times or crowded wait rooms. They treat naturally whenever possible. It is a military vet-owned practice. Just some of the reasons why it's been named the best primary care provider by Toast of Music City year after year after year. Grace Point Healthcare on Main Street in Franklin. Here's the number, 599-6868, to schedule a visit.
If you have a 401k at work, chances are you've seen something called a target date fund. Now, the idea behind a target date fund is if you're going to retire in a specific year, let's say 2030, all you do is put all your money in that fund and you don't even have to think about it. Set it and forget it is the idea. Now, one of the things that I warn people about regarding these types of funds is many times they're not nearly as diversified as you think. When we look at investing, when we look at diversification, we want to own really small companies, really large companies, really growth-oriented, really value-oriented companies, and diversify between these different market areas. Target date funds tend to focus more attention down here for a really basic reason. It sells better. Because you're investing in very big, well-known U.S. companies, what happens is investors tend to like to look like the market, as we say. And the problem, though, is when we do that is we can go very long periods of time. 1966 through 1982 is one example. More recently, 2000 through 2012, where large U.S. stocks had no return, where other market segments actually did quite well. So one of the things that happens is when we invest in a target date fund, we may be overly concentrated and have more risk than we really realize. So if you want to learn more about our approach to investing and financial planning and how we educate investors, go to paulwinkler.com and set up a free 15-minute phone call, or you can call 615-851-1950.
More charges likely for former President Trump. A Nashville high school student brings a gun to school. Schools struggling around the nation with buses for students and teen crime in Tennessee. Plus, that Barbie movie continues to break records. That and more, 4 o'clock, Super Talk, 99.7 WTN.
You know, this is also a week where we open up the state fair in Wilson County, and I wanted to mention some things that are going to be different this year around. You know, about 750,000 people went to the fair last year, and they're expecting it to be even bigger this year. Several things are going to be changed. One of the things that is new, apparently, is a new competition. It's called a husband calling contest.
What?
Yep. Saturday, August 19th, the competition is open to all fair goers. You have 1 minute to call your husband, and you need to have a husband calling outfit encouraged.
Have you heard these before?
No.
This is a real thing.
Oh, yeah. I've seen videos of this. Oh, my gosh. That's awesome.
Yeah. So Cabana Wife, maybe she would be pretty good at this.
I can hear a lot of, "Hey, stupid, I'm talking to you. Are you listening to me?"
Not from Cabana Wife, you wouldn't, but I mean,
wives in general.
Well, you know, generally, just as to say, after many years in broadcasting, wearing headphones and earpieces, you know, when she calls, she has to call.
Yeah.
Big, big cavernous house.
What?
Yep. So anyway, and then apparently racing pigs.
Oh, I like that. That's always fun.
I want to see the racing pigs.
Yeah.
And there are some things that you need to know because apparently there will be some new security provisions that are in place. No drones. You bring a drone, you're going to get a ticket. That's what they say. A clear bag policy. You must have an approved bag according to the Wilson County Sheriff's Office. Cannot exceed 12 by 6 by 12. A logo no larger than 4 by 5 by 3 by 4 can be displayed on one side. Or alternatively, and this is what most people will do, 1 gallon clear plastic freezer bag.
That's easier. Yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Everybody's got one of those.
Everybody's got one of those. Metal detectors will be at each gates this year. And 15 stages for entertainment, monster trucks. I love a good county fair. And this is a state fair.
That's right.
Here's just a taste of what you're going to get in that husband calling.
Oh, here we go. Can you turn it up just a little bit?
Unless you want to make the bed, you better get up like right now.
Sounds like Minnie Pearl.
Yep, it does.
Doesn't it?
It does. Yeah. Well, anyway, that's going to be
something new
going
for me. Yeah.
I'm going for the racing pigs. Yeah. All right, let's take a quick look at what's going on with the markets right now. Dow Jones Industrials closed the day up 26, S&P up 25, the NASDAQ up 143. So all three screens are green. But what is driving the market today? Let's check in with John Maxon over at Beacon Capital Management with more details. What's driving it today, John?
You know, Brian, I think after a couple of weeks of the S&P and the NASDAQ being down, the market was ready for a little bit of a reprieve. But really, this week is all going to be about retail, and it's really going to be about the consumer. As the week goes on, you're going to get some big reports. For example, Home Depot is reporting earnings on Tuesday, and we have Target on Wednesday and Walmart on Thursday. So the big story is going to be, how do those earnings come in? You know, household savings is running pretty thin with inflation where it's at. Got credit card debt at an all-time high. So the big question with these retailers and what the market's really going to be looking at is the consumer still able to spend money? We're going to really get a picture of that as these major retailers report earnings this week. So we're going to watch that really, really closely.
All right, John, thank you very much. And, of course, you can learn more about all the things they can do for you over at Beacon Capital Management by going to their website, askbeaconnow.com. It is 59 minutes past the hour of 3 o'clock on Super Talk. You know, USS, they do their best over at USS. They always guarantee their best for sure. But they are a good company that will help you if you have a problem with waterproofing or foundation repair issues. And maybe those have become more noticeable with all the rain we've had of late. So if you have a problem, don't be afraid to call. I mean, here's the bottom line. It could be a big thing that must be fixed. It could be a small problem that will become bigger over time. Or alternately, it could be nothing at all, and you will have wasted a lot of time not worrying. And you can rest assured once you get the readout from the folks at USS. They'll come to your house. They'll give you their very best judgment. They're not trying to upsell you. They're not trying to sell you for more than you need. They're just here to tell you what they think is wrong and what needs to be fixed. And if you decide to go forward, you don't pay a penny until the job is done and you're completely satisfied. Listen to what Chris said. The crew that worked on our house, top notch. I appreciate the integrity, the speed of feedback, the quality of work provided by all who have worked with us. They guarantee their best. Call USS. Here it is, serving Middle Tennessee, Southern Kentucky, Western Kentucky, Northern Alabama. Online at USSTN.com or call this number, 615-488-7855.
It is 4:01. I'm Mac Maury with your top stories. Right now, 92 degrees in Nashville. Expecting some scattered showers tonight into the evening and a clear week ahead. Sunny skies. Complete weather and traffic report in 5 minutes. The Fulton County District Attorney appears to be on the cusp of asking a grand jury to bring criminal charges against former President Donald Trump. Stephen Portnoy is in Atlanta.
Anticipation here is high that an indictment is imminent. Testimony that had been expected to be given to the grand jury tomorrow was moved to today, an indication that prosecutors have been moving swiftly through their presentation. Former President Trump said on social media that one of the witnesses, former Georgia Lieutenant Governor Jeff Duncan, shouldn't testify. Duncan was president of the state Senate when Georgia lawmakers came under pressure from Trump allies to award the state's electoral votes to the losing candidate.
Right now in Nashville, a 16-year-old student at East High School was arrested today after a firearm was found inside of his backpack. Administrators found the 9mm handgun, and the 11th grader would not answer any questions about it, why he brought it, or where he got it. We'll keep you updated with that story right here on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. In Louisville, parents searching for backup plans after school bus problems are forced to close. But Ryan Clark says these problems can be found across the nation.
The last student was not dropped off from the first day of school in Louisville until almost 10 o'clock, capping off a disastrous day of busing problems that caused Jefferson County schools to close Monday and Tuesday. In Orlando, parents are being asked to carpool instead of relying on buses. Rideshare company Hop Skip Drive says it conducted a survey and found that an estimated 80% of districts are dealing with driver shortages. There could be problems ahead in the nation's largest school district. Here in New York City, school bus drivers could strike at the start of the school year next month.
Bus drivers in Tennessee recently just negotiated their way to a pay raise with added benefits. Teen crime here in Volunteer State. 18-year-old Alicia McKnight is facing 42 charges related to vehicle theft. She's been on the top 10 most wanted list for weeks and was just caught this weekend trying to break into more cars. A police chase then reportedly ensued. Officials eventually were able to track her down. They had to tase her. She's now in jail on a $200,000 bond. In some entertainment news, Barbie director Greta Gerwig just captured a couple of more records. Jason Nathanson.
Do you guys ever think about dying? The Barbie phenomenon not dying anytime soon, and over the weekend the film just set 2 more records. Director Greta Gerwig now holds the title for the highest-earning film in the U.S. ever directed by a woman, passing Frozen 2, which was co-directed by Jennifer Lee. Worldwide, Frozen 2 is still the champ for a movie directed by a woman, though Barbie has a strong shot at beating it. And over the weekend, the film became the highest-grossing live-action movie worldwide, directed by a woman, passing Captain Marvel, which was co-directed by Anna Boden. Barbie's worldwide total stands at $1.18 billion, another $250 million, and it'll pass Frozen 2.
And that is the latest news, traffic, and weather next. I'm Mac Morey, WTN News.
We are live at J Street Free Grill and Bar. This was a fantastic experience. We're cooking everything in front of us right here at the table. We've had ribeye, J Street's famous steak. We had lemon pepper chicken. We had bulgogi. I'm probably butchering it, but I asked like 3 or 4 times how to pronounce it. So it's not for a lack of trying. But you need to try and get out here August 15th. We're going to have a live event, Super Talk Live. Brian Wilson's going to be doing a show. Me, Dan Mandis, Matt Furphy, Pamela Furr, Johnny B. Everybody's going to be here. We're going to cook at the table. We're going to talk politics. All you can eat food. And believe me, look at this spread. When they say all you can eat, it's all you can eat. So join us. Grab your tickets at 997WTN.com. Promo code Chris. And if you need help cooking your steak, I'm here for you. Let's do this thing together.
Eight minutes now past the hour of 4 o'clock on Super Talk. Brian Wilson in the chair and on the air. Monday, the 14th day of August. We're almost to the middle of the month. Gosh, I mean, I don't know about you, but it seems like, days are just whizzing by, just zipping on by.
Time keeps on slipping
into the future.
Mm-hmm.
That's right. Well, it's funny you should make a musical reference, because this next segment is all going to be about a song that's out there, and that is taking the nation by storm. By now, if you have been on social media, if you have been out there at all, you have heard a song by the guy named Oliver Anthony, and it's called Richmond North of Richmond. And we're going to play a little bit of it for you, and then I'm going to open up the phones because I have a question for you about this song. Okay, here we go. This is Oliver Anthony. If you haven't heard it, Richmond North of Richmond. Well, I mean, I think you get a good sense of it. I mean, first of all, the guy's got a great voice. I just love his voice. And I love the fact that he's playing a resonator guitar because I have a special affinity for that myself. But Richmond North of Richmond is, of course, a reference to, one would assume, that Washington, D.C. And it really is talking about the difficult times that many face, and it seems like he's tapping into a sentiment there about what's going on in the world around us. And the response to this thing has been unbelievable. I mean, it's rare, incredibly rare for a guy to come out of nowhere, put something on YouTube, and the next thing you know, a couple days later, it's the #1 song on iTunes, and it's topping the charts. And so what that says to me is that he's tapping into something. So that's why I want to open up the phone lines at 615-737-9986. Let's have a conversation about this song. Everybody's talking about it, but I want to know what is it that he is tapping into that is garnering such an amazing and unusual, practically unprecedented response? What's going on that is making people go, yes, that guy speaks for me? 615-737-9986. I mean, this thing is, and by the way, on some charts, there's 2 or 3 other songs that he has already climbed, up to the charts, and it's like second, third, fourth, on some different charts. I mean, it's unbelievable. And by the way, a good song, and it really resonates with just musically, it's strong. But the question, I think, is, what in the world is it about this song that people are reacting to? 615-737-9986. We go to William in Murfreesboro. William, you've heard the song. What was it that you first thought when you heard this song, Richmond North of Richmond?
Well, like you guys got a wonderful voice. I like the song. I get the sentiment of it, but it could also be a wealth redistribution song too.
Mm-hmm. So what do you think is going on with this song that caused such a reaction? What sentiment is he tapping into? Well,
things are so expensive to buy. You can get a pay raise. It doesn't really amount to anything. You can get a $4 an hour raise, and by the time you get to the grocery store and the gas pump, higher taxes here and higher taxes there, there wasn't any point in getting a raise.
Yeah. So do you think this just resonates with people because it's a song about where a lot of people are living right now?
Oh, absolutely. I'd say the majority of the country, except the ultra, the people that's got a lot of money, like the Bezos, folks like that, they could care less. But we're gonna have to get government spending under control. We're gonna have to get everything under control. and get some kind of happy medium there before everything just levels out. So I really
I hear you. Well, let me just ask you one more question. What do you think it means politically?
I think it's a political. I think it's a. Let me think of the word. I think it's going to be a drum beat to get all this stuff under control. I mean, and I'd like to say this too, if I can. With respect to all the spending, government spending, overspending stuff, it's up to the Democrats and the Republican voters. If our people can't do it, we need to get somebody in there that can. If they don't do the job, replace every one of them again and do something else.
All right, William, thank you so much. That was very thoughtful. Appreciate it. Brian, out on the road. Brian, tell me, what this song, what do you think it's tapping into? Why has there been such a remarkable response to this, Brian?
I think mostly because it resonates with mostly all the working men and women out there as far as paying taxes, and everything you do today is taxed, and it's been going on for a long time. It's just showing more and more now when you see them spending billions and billions of dollars on Ukraine, helping them, but then our own veterans, our own people are poor and can't afford to live, can't afford medications and stuff like that. I think it really makes it resonate with the working people, tend to see that going on.
And politically, do you think it's an indication of where the electorate might be?
Brian, I don't kind of believe in the whole political thing. I believe that they're all out against us. Division to them is number one. The way I always was put to me by a very old gentleman one time, and I go by, is the right wing and the left wing. They both belong to the same bird.
All right. Thank you very much, Brian. Appreciate it. Let's check in with Chuck in Nashville. Chuck, good afternoon. You're on the drive with Brian. So let me ask you the question. What do you think it is about this song, Richmond North of Richmond, that has people, sort of reacting in such an amazing and unusual way?
Well, the reality to me is pretty simple. 70% of the people out here are working people that this talks to, that they're affected by what's going on in this country from the financial perspective. And I think I know what your next question is going to be about the political side of it. They get it when they hear about the rich men north of Richmond. Doesn't matter, blue, red, it's the same thing. It's a duopoly, and they're on basically the same team. They just want two players in the game. Sometimes they win, sometimes they lose, but they always win. I think it's time for number 3 to come out, and I think what you're seeing is a statement from it's time for there's enough people out here for a third party to step up and do something that will have an impact.
So you think
it's going to happen.
I want to tap into that. You think that this is a sort of a reaction of a pox on both your houses, right?
Absolutely. It's against red and blue both because they're all pretty much, hey, incumbency. What percentage of those get reelected? 90?
Yep, that's true. All right. Listen, Chuck, this is great stuff. I think it's really, there's something going on that this song just so immediately resonated with so many people. Sean in Mount Juliet. The song is called Richmond North of Richmond. It's hitting the charts. It's blowing everybody away. It came out of nowhere. What do you think this is tapping into? Hello, Sean.
Hey, Brian. Great to hear from you, bud. Sorry, there were emergency vehicles.
I understand. Go ahead.
So I think that he's tapping into the same thing that Trump tapped into, which is the base, and the feeling is that, hey, everybody's getting a little bit of the poop screwed here. So, why not have a voice? And if you have a voice, shouldn't you be out there with the voice and using it for, the justice of the people? And that's how I feel about that situation. Politically, I think the last caller was great. He was right on the mark with, it's a ding against both sides of the party, and both of them need to take accountability for what they've done to our country.
So your sense of it is that among the electorate today, there are a fair number of people who are just, fed up with not just, Republican Party politics or Democrat Party politics, but just politics.
Yeah, that's my take on it. I think that both sides need some fine tuning. We've been accustomed to getting what we want in Washington, and when they get it, they don't care who they have to climb over to get it.
All right.
And that's
well,
usually
listen.
the working man.
We're going to take a break of commercials, and then we're going to come back and we're going to talk some more about it. I love this conversation. 615-737-9986. Right now, it's 20 minutes past the hour of 4 o'clock. Let me tell you about the Nashville Armory Ranges, 2 locations for your convenience. The Nashville Armory is at 4290 Kenilwood Drive in Nashville. Over 15,000 square feet, which combines retail, classrooms, and, of course, pistol and rifle rated ranges, so you can learn, you can become proficient, and you can stay that way. The second location, the Franklin Range at 390 South Winds Drive. There you'll find 10 state-of-the-art shooting ranges equipped with automated target control and custom shooting stalls that provide a provide a virtually private shooting experience. And the folks that work there, well, they pride themselves on hiring folks with the expertise to advise experienced shooters, but they have the patience to guide those who are new to this 2A world. No attitude, no pressure. And gunsmithing is back at the Nashville Range. If you're buying your first gun or adding to the collection, you'll find a wide selection of new and pre-owned firearms, suppressors, optics, apparel, shooting accessories. It's a place to buy. It's a place to train. It's a place to become a really good shot. To learn more, go to armoryranges.com. And please let them know your friend and radio buddy, Brian Wilson, sent you.
Those tragic wildfires in Maui continue. We take a look at the death count, plus residents trying to get back to their properties, plus some money news. That and more, 4:30. Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Well, it's a song written by a guy named Oliver Anthony, and it went from nowhere, I mean, literally nowhere, to #1 on the charts. He doesn't have a record deal. He doesn't have a record company. It's just something that caught on fire and is now, taking the world by storm. And the thing I'm trying to find out here and with my audience, you've been talking about it. You've been listening to it. What do you think the thing is about this song? What is the message that is resonating with people? Let's go start with Deborah in Nashville. Deborah, you're on with Brian on the drive. What do you say, Deborah?
Thanks for having me. I do marketing, and I've worked in the entertainment with country singers. His voice is so down to earth, and it just captures your emotions. And then when you listen to the words, what he's saying is basically, you got the rich and you got the people that are struggling. And this is resonating with people, blue collars, white collars, mothers, independents. It's about what's happening today in our country. And his voice is so unique. That's what they look in the music industry. But his voice, he's singing from emotions. He's singing from passion. And that is capturing everybody.
I think you're absolutely right about that, Deborah. Do you think it has any political implications?
Absolutely. I don't think he's yelling, Democrats, Republican. He's just saying, hey, guys, we're struggling, and you guys are rich, and we're struggling, and you haven't made this country better. You've taken it, basically, it's not working. Whatever you're doing, it's not working. And because of his emotion and his passion, it's like, how can people not understand? It doesn't matter if you're a Democrat, an independent, or a Republican. This is about what's happening to us today.
Listen, I think you're dead on, Deborah. That's very nice. Thank you very much. Becky in Clarksville. Becky, good afternoon. You're on with Brian on the drive. What do you say, Becky?
Hi, Brian. Thank you for taking my call. I would like to say that he truly has some raw talent, and I feel that people can relate to him through pain. Through early stages of life, we learn through music, like the ABC song. And I think he's teaching people that they're not alone.
Wow. I think you're onto something there. Do you think that there are political implications? I mean, we are in a political season. We're now starting to talk about the 2024 campaign. Do you think the fact that this thing has just gone so supernova indicates a little something about where the electorate might be right now?
Yes, I do. And I agree with other callers that it is touching on both sides. There are people in power who are not doing any good. And I think something needs to be changed about that.
All right. Thank you for the call. I really appreciate it. Steve in Cookeville, you're up next on the drive. What do you say, Steve?
I think he's talking about secession. He's talking to the people in this country, whether they be Democrats or Republicans, who are fed up with the way this country is going. Washington is north of Richmond. Richmond was the capital of the Confederacy.
All right. Thank you, Steve. Appreciate that. Rich in Murfreesboro, you're on with Brian on the drive. What do you say, Rich?
I think he taps into a truth that we're all experiencing, that the deck is stacked against us. And he's us. When you hear his voice, he is us. Regardless who we are and what our job is and where we are politically, we hear him and we feel his pain, and we know that pain because we're going through that pain too. So that's why it's hitting a nerve, because we all know these things, and we've had enough.
Yeah, listen, I think you're right, and the song is so well done and so well sung, and his voice really just, I mean, it has anger in it as he sings, and I think that it taps into the anger that I hear here in talking to people who listen to this radio station on a regular basis about government, and I don't necessarily think it's aimed at Republicans or Democrats. I think it's aimed at both. I think it's aimed at and saying, you know what? Somebody needs to start looking out for the working man. There have been times in America where a song, Woody Guthrie back in those days, for example, a song could carry a message that much more effectively than a good speech or a good campaign ad. This one is I think telling us that we've got something going on in this country that is new and different, and that the electorate has finally reached a point where they are just fed up to their eyeballs, with the things that have been going on, and the fact that it seems that everybody's looking to hit the other guy, but nobody's really thinking about how it lands for the people out here in real America, where we're just trying to make a living and put food on your table and some kind of roof over your head. It is 31 minutes now past the hour of 4 o'clock on Super Talk.
It is 4:31. I'm Mac Maury with your top stories. Right now, 92 degrees, mostly sunny. Some showers possibly here later this evening in Middle Tennessee. Full forecast, latest traffic report on the way in 5 minutes. And there's some growing frustration among some Maui residents trying to get back to their properties incinerated by the deadly wildfires. Alex Stone in Maui tells us an assault on their senses is a constant reminder of the calamity.
There is a line here probably about 3 miles long of cars, families from Lahaina waiting to get a placard to be able to get back in and to see what's left of their homes. One thing I've noticed as I've been talking to people here, the cars reek of wildfire smoke, and everybody has a story about getting out, that there was fire all around, and they went racing out. Just talking to a gentleman, it smelled like a barbecue in his car, and he says it has been a horrendous last couple of days.
And the death count from those fires up to 96. Right now in Nashville, a shootout turned deadly at a gas station. Channel 4 says a man claimed self-defense when he and another man started shooting at each other near the door to the F&B market on Clarksville Pike. It happened last night around 10:30. Now over to some money news. Daria Albinger walks us through Wall Street on this Monday.
Stocks rose to start the week. The Dow closed up 26 points. The Nasdaq jumped 143, and the S&P added 26 for the session. The market spent most of the day drifting ahead of a week of reports, which are expected to show how strong U.S. shoppers are and if that continued spending will keep the economy out of a recession. But the reality remains inflation is still stubbornly high. And that makes a lot of consumers put considerable thought into even small purchases like a pair of jeans. One consideration for many, how many times they would actually use them. Retailers like Kohl's and Untuckit are taking notice, and they've revamped their marketing campaigns to focus on durability. Regrets? He's had a few. As the Inflation Reduction Act turns 1 year old this week, it's becoming clear that curbing prices wasn't the main focus. In fact, President Biden has said that there might have been a better name for the sweeping legislation.
And it looks like right now, looking at Channel 4, Downtree has hit some homes and has knocked out some power. That's in Germantown. We'll keep you updated with that right here. Super Talk 99.7 WTN. That is the latest news. Traffic and weather on the way. I'm Mac Maury, WTN News.
We are live at J Street Free Grill and Bar. This was a fantastic experience. We're cooking everything in front of us right here at the table. We've had ribeye, J Street's famous steak. We had lemon pepper chicken. We had bulgogi. I'm probably butchering it, but I asked like 3 or 4 times how to pronounce it. So it's not for a lack of trying. But you need to try and get out here August 15th. We're going to have a live event, Super Talk Live. Brian Wilson's going to be doing a show. Me, Dan Mandis, Matt Furphy, Pamela Fur, Johnny B. Everybody's going to be here. We're going to cook at the table. We're going to talk politics. All you can eat food. And believe me, look at this spread. When they say all you can eat, it's all you can eat. So join us. Grab your tickets at 997WTN.com. Promo code Chris. And if you need help cooking your steak, I'm here for you. Let's do this thing together.
Hey, listen, if you're thinking about grilling out and you want to get a good flavor on your steak, right? Well, if you're a fan of Legend Steakhouse like I am, you can enjoy some of the same flavors right at home on your very own grill. Just take a walk down your local grocery store aisle, places like Walmart, Kroger, and look for Johnny Fleeman's very own brand. You'll see his famous fruit tea at your local grocery store, along with salad dressings and Johnny Fleeman's steak marinades. Johnny Fleeman's proprietary blend will give your chicken, steaks, and chops a flavor that will hit a home run with family and friends. Low sodium, about a third of the other brands. You don't have to worry about over-marinating. You can also use this marinade to enhance almost any dish, your favorite rice recipe, fresh vegetables, etc. If your local grocer is not stocking Johnny Fleeman products, ask them to do so. For more information, go to JohnnyFleeman.com. That's JohnnyFleeman.com. And it goes without saying, for those times when you want someone else to do the cooking, they'll always be glad to see you at your nearest Legend Steakhouse for lunch or dinner. It's 39 minutes now past the hour of 4 o'clock on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Listen, I am really sort of blown away by the depths and the thoughtful things that people were saying about that song, Richmond North of Richmond. And it just occurred to me, and I want to just, before I move on to the next topic, it occurs to me that there are things out there that are happening that seem to be true grassroots. Now, true grassroots movements are rare. They don't happen every day. And generally, what you have today is what they call AstroTurf. It's organized, it's planned, and if there's a protest, it's by people sometimes who are even paid to show up and protest. But finding something that truly comes from the roots of our people in America is a rare thing. I mean, maybe the Tea Party was the last real example I could point to where that came out of nowhere. That wasn't organized particularly. It just evolved. Boom, it was there, and it started to take form, took on a life of its own. And when I see things like this song going from something that somebody stuck up on YouTube to the number one song in the country, it tells me that there's something happening out there. I always quote that old song. There's something happening there. What it is ain't exactly clear. But I'm going to try to put some things together here for you. Oliver Anthony, Richmond, north of Richmond. Jason Aldean, and his song that went practically straight to number one after being criticized. And try that in a small town, right? I mean, that was the thing we were talking about just a week or so ago. And it took on a life of its own, even after it became very, criticized by some on the other side. Put that together with what happened in Bud Light. Now, Bud Light, I mean, I've never seen anything quite like that. It was, if you take what Bud people say, it was a one-off, sort of ill thought out thing that they did with Dylan Mulvaney, which just backfired. But it backfired, and they didn't understand who their audience was, and it backfired in a huge way. People who drink Bud Light have sent a message to the people at Anheuser-Busch about, what they want and what they think and how they look at the world. And it is driven home the point, not only to the folks at Bud Light, but now I guarantee you that there's not a major corporation in the country with a marketing department that hadn't had a meeting about this. I'd be shocked, stunned, and amazed if that were not the case, because nobody wants to be the next Bud Light. Target, there's another example of it. Target really, I think we're going to get some numbers out of Target later this week, and it'll be a story. I have a suspicion how big a hit Target has taken. So, there is something going on out there that is different than what we have seen before. And it seems that there are people, it's almost like that movie Network, which I forget the name of the anchor. What is it, Gordon Gekko, something like that? Look that up for me, Chris. I can't remember his name. But he this whole thing took off, in the movie. This anchorman sort of lost his mind one night on the air, and the thing was he suggested people should go to their windows and yell out, "I'm mad as hell, and I'm just not going to take it anymore." And that movie, was sort of, I think, ahead of its time. I think there are a lot of people right now in America who have just sort of reached the point when it comes to their politics, when they come to the way they feel like government is being run, where they simply say, "I'm mad as hell, and I'm just not going to take it anymore." And I see that in the song by Oliver Anthony. I see that in the song by James Aldean. I see this in things that are happening. Something different is happening. And I don't know what it is that these things have in common, but they're tapping into an anger, people who are irritated and angry And they've just had enough. And I don't necessarily think it's aimed at one party or the other. I think it may be aimed at both parties in some sense. Which makes me wonder now, when you ask, how does that land politically? Well, what if there is a third party candidate, as many people say there will be? And that person, the person most likely to do that right now would seem to be Joe Manchin. I don't know how you feel about Joe Manchin. I don't know whether he's somebody that you could coalesce around. But this election cycle, if these things are happening and these things are unusual, doesn't it tell you that maybe we just don't have a good bead on where the American electorate is and where they are? Did you find something on that, Chris?
I keep trying to look up the character's name, and I can't remember what it was. But obviously, everyone has at least seen this clip before.
Yeah, and then people went to all over America.
Yeah,
that's right. People went to their windows, and I'm mad as hell, and I'm not going to take it anymore. Well, I think people are mad as hell, and whatever is going on out there.
It was Howard Beale.
Howard Beale.
That was the character's name.
I don't know where I came up with that other thing. Howard. Haven't seen the movie in probably 15 years. It was, and you know what? When I saw it, I didn't see it when it first came out. I saw it years later. It's quite an entertaining movie about, how news became entertainment. So it may be worth a look again, because it seems like we're revisiting some of that. I don't know. Folks, when you sit in a chair like I do every day and you look at what's going on around the world, what you try to do is you try to find out, well, this is a dot. Does this dot connect to any other dots? And I think there are a whole host of dots out there that, I want to think some more about it. And I'm sure I could come up with 3 or 4 or 5 or 6 or 7 or 8 more examples of how things have, there have been these sort of surprise reactions, grassroots reactions to things that are going on that express an anger or a disdain. Maybe that's it. Maybe that's the word I want to use. An anger or a disdain for, what our people in power do and how they are treating the people that, remember this, this is the thing that I think everybody needs to remember. You and I are the boss. We are the boss. We make the decisions. The people who serve under us, serve at our will, and after we vote them into office, they answer to us, not the other way around. Our politicians need to understand that we are the ones that should be calling the shots. We are the ones who should be telling you how things go. And if you don't, if they don't understand that, then quite frankly, I think, the next time there's an election, then you take care of that problem. But we need to remind, I think, the people in power, positions of power, that they have no power except through the people. The people provide the power to make decisions. You go there as our employee. And I think that whole idea is lost. We're the boss, and they're the employee, not the other way around. You don't just hand us down whatever you do. You're supposed to be listening to us and the desires of the people. And maybe it's just a sense that, somewhere along the line, we've lost that idea. We've lost the idea that people are no longer, the people in power are no longer listening to the people who sent them there, that they get distracted by bigger things. They get distracted by power. They get distracted by money. I think there are some good people in Washington. I think that there are some great people in Washington. I was shocked, stunned, and amazed the other day. I was talking to Senator Haggerty. And he expressed something that I was very surprised to hear him express: a real shock and dismay over the fact that he's been in office now as a junior senator, first time he'd ever run for public office, and he is just amazed at how difficult it is to get things done and the reasons that it's difficult to get things done. And I thought, well, there's a guy who figured that out pretty quick, and it is. Washington no longer cares what we think until we start to send them a message. And so that when we send, and we can send our messages in various ways, but when we send them, a message about this song that is resonating with us, that means something to us, let's hope that they have, the good common sense to listen, because we're sending them a message, and I'm not sure that they're smart enough to receive it, but the smart ones will, and the rest of them we'll just vote them out. It is 50 minutes past the hour of 4 o'clock on Super Talk. Hey, if you have a desire to add gold or silver to your portfolio, listen up. Brian Wilson on behalf of Nashville Gold and Coin. If you're looking to buy real, actual, hold it in your hand, gold, silver, or bullion, let me tell you, this is the place I do business, and it's the place I recommend. You'll get honest, friendly customer service and a real precious metals education. They also specialize in the buying, selling, and appraising of coins. Do you have any idea how much those old coins you have laying around might be worth? Now, I brought in a few silver coins that I had in a shoebox in my sock drawer. It turned out to be worth $1,652. So whether you're in the market to purchase precious metals or you just want to find out what those coins in your closet might be worth, schedule a one-on-one consultation today. Go to NashvilleGoldandCoin.com. That's NashvilleGoldandCoin.com.
If you have a 401k at work, chances are you've seen something called a target date fund. Now, the idea behind a target date fund is if you're going to retire in a specific year, let's say 2030, all you do is put all your money in that fund and you don't even have to think about it. Set it and forget it is the idea. Now, one of the things that I warn people about regarding these types of funds is many times they're not nearly as diversified as you think. When we look at investing, when we look at diversification, we want to own really small companies, really large companies, really growth-oriented, really value-oriented companies, and diversify between these different market areas. Target date funds tend to focus more attention down here for a really basic reason. It sells better. Because you're investing in very big, well-known U.S. companies, what happens is investors tend to like to look like the market, as we say. And the problem, though, is when we do that, is we can go very long periods of time. 1966 through 1982 is one example. More recently, 2000 through 2012, where large U.S. stocks had no return, where other market segments actually did quite well. So one of the things that happens is when we invest in a target date fund, we may be overly concentrated and have more risk than we really realize. So if you want to learn more about our approach to investing and financial planning and how we educate investors, go to paulwinkler.com and set up a free 15-minute phone call, or you can call 615-851-1950.
Student with a gun at a Tennessee high school. How safe are the WeGo buses for students making it to school? And some news with Hunter Biden. Those stories and more coming up 5 o'clock. I'm Mac Morey right here on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
All right, the midway point of the drive for this Monday, August 14th. We'll come back in 5 o'clock hour and talk about the special counsel that has been set up to investigate Hunter Biden. I've been thinking about it a lot. I studied the matter a great deal over the weekend, and I'll give you my conclusions as to what this really means coming up in the next hour. It is now 58 minutes past the hour of 4 o'clock.
Five o'clock, I'm Mac Morey with your top stories. 92 degrees today. Got a complete weather forecast and the latest traffic report upcoming in 5 minutes. Some news here in Tennessee. A 16-year-old student at East High School was arrested today after a gun was found inside of his backpack. Administrators found the 9mm handgun, and that 11th grader would not answer any questions about why he brought the gun or where he even got it. And staying here in Tennessee, Metro Police arrested a man for sexually assaulting a teen at the Nashville bus station last week. A number of Metro school students use that bus to get to school. Channel 4's Brendan Tierney looks into how students are staying safe.
We figured out that more than 1,500 Metro school students ride the bus every day through WeGo Central Station here in downtown. They rely on that bus to get to class, but Metro Public Schools says that there are only about half of all Metro school students that use WeGo on a daily basis. It includes students who go to magnet schools or are enrolled outside of their zone. They don't qualify for normal school buses under state law. WeGo says 68 arrests were made at this station alone over the past year.
Metro Police are working together with school districts and WeGo to make sure students stay safe as possible. And attorneys for Hunter Biden now say in a court filing today that a diversion agreement on a gun charge is, quote, valid and binding, while furthering the plea agreement on tax charges is moot after it fell apart in court Brittany Shepard.
Lawyers for the president's son now argue that the second part of his plea deal remains in effect. That diversion agreement on a felony gun charge would allow Hunter Biden to avoid prosecution if he adheres to certain terms. His attorneys say that that portion was a separate contract, negotiated and entered outside the presiding judge's purview. Prosecutors have suggested that additional charges could be filed in California or Washington, D.C. But in the meantime, a judge has ordered prosecutors to respond to Biden's attorneys by noon on Tuesday.
Football. The Associated Press released their preseason 2023 top 25 rankings today, and you know what that means. The Vols are back. They were number 12 in the rankings, flanked by Texas ahead of them at 11, Notre Dame on their heels at 13, and as for the rest of the SEC, Georgia number 1, Alabama came in at 4. No votes for number 1 for the Tide. LSU at 5, and then back-to-back 2022 and 23 were Ole Miss and Texas A&M. And the Vols open up their season right here in Music City, September 2nd at Nissan Stadium against Virginia, and are 4-touchdown favorites. That is the latest news, traffic, and weather upcoming. I'm Mac Morey, WTN News.
We are live at J Street Free Grill and Bar. This was a fantastic experience. We're cooking everything in front of us right here at the table. We've had ribeye, J Street's famous steak. We had lemon pepper chicken. We had bulgogi. I'm probably butchering it, but I asked like 3 or 4 times how to pronounce it. So it's not for a lack of trying. But you need to try and get out here August 15th. We're going to have a live event, Super Talk Live. Brian Wilson's going to be doing a show. Me, Dan Mandis, Matt Furphy, Pamela Furr, Johnny B. Everybody's going to be here. We're going to cook at the table. We're going to talk politics. All you can eat food. And believe me, look at this spread. When they say all you can eat, it's all you can eat. So join us. Grab your tickets at 997WTN.com. Promo code Chris. And if you need help cooking your steak, I'm here for you. Let's do this thing together.
Good afternoon. 6 minutes now past the hour of 5 o'clock, halfway through this show we call The Drive. driving you home, get you home safely. I hope you had a great weekend. It's a stormy weekend out at my place. I'm telling you, we had a couple of good little storms come through here. I was actually in Mount Juliet trying to go see the movie Oppenheimer when the big storm came through on Saturday. And while I was in the parking lot there, getting ready to go in, I see this black smoke, and apparently just a short ways from where I was, there was that big apartment fire, which I think they're believing was caused by lightning, which would not be surprising. But it was, I'm telling you, those were a couple of good little storms to come blowing through. But by the way, Oppenheimer, I've heard other people rave about it. It's about 3 hours long. And it is I think, a very accurate portrayal of what was going on. Some great performances. People say, well, what did you think about it? Great performances. He was not particularly what you would, by today's standards, very much a man of the left. But he understood that, that you had to get the atomic bomb before the Germans did. And then later it became, well, you got to get the atomic bomb before the Russians did. And it was very interesting. He had great misgivings, of course, after for dropping the bomb. Great scene with him in the Oval Office, and President Truman said, "You built the bomb. I'm the one that dropped the bomb." And he said, he was quite not happy with the fact that Oppenheimer, late in his life, did have some misgivings about his involvement in the Manhattan Project. But it's a great movie, well done, extremely well done, and I think probably pretty true to the storyline. I think it's pretty true to history. So, not a lot of Hollywoodization there, as far as I can tell. I think so. Because the story itself was compelling enough, and I think the best performance was, ironically, what's this guy's name? Morton Downey Jr.
Robert
Downey Jr. I'm sorry. Why did I say Morton? Robert Downey Jr. He was good.
Yeah, he's a good actor. I really like him.
And you think of him as sort of the one-trick pony with Iron Man and all that stuff like that. But this was a very nuanced performance and quite good. I'd be shocked if he's not nominated for several Academy Awards, as well as the guy who played Oppenheimer. All right, enough of that. I want to get into a discussion of what happened late last week. Friday, we were all sitting around here. Maybe you missed it. Maybe you were not with us on Friday, but there was a big announcement. The Attorney General of the United States, Merrick Garland, calls a press conference. Nobody really knows what he's going to do. And he basically gave to David Weiss, the man who had been investigating Hunter Biden, the status of special counsel. Now, before I hear, don't send me emails. I hear many people say, and I understand why you say it, that he can't do that because a special counsel is supposed to be from outside of government, and he's going to remain as the U.S. Attorney for Delaware while he's doing this. I get that. I've seen the language on it. And what I don't hear is a lot of people in positions to make noise about this who are making noise about that particular thing. For example, I don't hear anybody saying he can't possibly do that. It would be a violation of the law. I don't hear that happening, but I've read the law and I come to the same conclusions that you come to. I would only say this, that if that is true, somebody will pick it up and run with it and file the case, and that will be that. But over the years, I've come to understand that the law is not black and white. A lot of people say, well, it's black and it's right there in black and white, Wilson. Well, you know what? The interpretation of the law is infinite shades of gray. And so we'll watch that. I acknowledge that I agree in my interpretation of the law, but I'm no lawyer. It doesn't seem that he should be allowed to do that at all. But then I don't hear any of the other people who are certainly in a position to raise Cain about that and to begin the process. I don't hear them making noise. Maybe they will. Maybe they're doing the research. We'll see. But I've been trying to figure out what it all means. I mean, is this a do-over or is this just a drag-it-out session? And I've ultimately come to stick with my initial reaction, which was, I think this is a play for time. I think this is, Weiss was the same guy who gave us this, this weak-kneed, watered-down, plea deal that was nothing more than a slap on the wrist and a rap on the knuckles for Hunter Biden. It wasn't much. What makes me think that he now wants to take the time to go back and do something different? He was the author of that, which fell apart. What makes me think that he's now going to go back and suddenly find a backbone? So that's my initial feeling about it. But I felt that in listening to everybody who talked about this over the weekend, and, in the Sunday talk shows and that kind of stuff, the one guy who I think had it right and really got it locked down pretty good was Ted Cruz of Texas. So listen to Ted Cruz as he lays out his thinking about what this all means.
Well, this appointment is camouflage and it's cover-up. I think it's disgraceful. Listen, David Weiss was the U.S. attorney handpicked to lead this investigation, who spent the last 5 years covering it up. David Weiss, who was personally selected by the two Democrat senators from Delaware, Tom Carper and Chris Coons. For 5 years, the investigation has gone nowhere other than to protect Hunter Biden and Joe Biden. Not only that, David Weiss is the one that is subject to 2 whistleblower complaints from senior career IRS officials who came forward. They said they'd never seen an investigation like this in their entire time in law enforcement. They said that the Department of Justice, lawyers working for David Weiss, protected the Biden family, that they gave heads up to Hunter Biden before search warrants were executed, presumably so that he could hide incriminating evidence, that they refused to allow them to ask any questions at all about the big guy, about Joe Biden, that they were focused on, you cannot inquire into President Joe Biden's personal corruption. And the result of all of that is that David Weiss either was an active participant in covering up this criminality and protecting Joe Biden, in engaging in obstruction of justice. That's option one. Or option two, he wasn't the driver. He was just complicit. He was so weak that he couldn't stop the partisans in Maine justice from turning it into a political effort to protect Joe Biden. Either case, he is a wildly inappropriate person to be a special counsel.
I couldn't agree more. I mean, that's the way it's feeling to me right now. He either was, in on the fix, or he did not have, the kind of tenacity and backbone to challenge these things when he ran up against them. Because apparently, according to the whistleblowers, David Weiss came in and said, well, I tried, but I can't. They won't let me do it in California. They won't let me do it over here. And, and so it's sort of like whining about it. So, yeah, I think that it's either, if he didn't have the backbone to do it then, what makes me think that he's going to have that backbone now? I mean, what does this give him? It gives him a few more powers. It gives him the power to go in there. But ultimately, they make a big thing about he's going to give a written response. He's gonna have a written response, and it will be explained why he either did bring charges or why he has decided not to bring charges. Sounds like to me we're dragging this out. Beyond the election cycle, so that it will not be a matter in play. And so, I'll tell you, I don't think that's going to survive. I don't think that's going to be the way it ends up, mainly because he's not the only guy that's looking into this stuff. You do have a Republican Congress that's looking into it. More from Cruz.
We need a special counsel to investigate Joe Biden and the $20 million that his family received while he was vice president. The allegation now is for official favors that he was selling. That is bribery. It's not a little gun charge on Hunter. It is bribery of the President of the United States is what these allegations are. And this special counsel, he ain't going to do anything to get to the bottom of that. Congress has its own authority, and I believe the only progress we're going to see over the next year and a half on this corruption is going to come from Congress. It's going to come from the House of Representatives, James Comer and Jim Jordan, both of whom are doing a phenomenal job. They have subpoena power. They're using it. They'll continue to use it. It's important to understand, this is often discussed as Hunter's business dealings. This was not Hunter's business dealings. This was Joe Biden's business. Hunter has no marketable skills. No one on planet Earth would pay him $20 million to do anything. What Hunter was selling was daddy. This was Joe Biden's business, shaking down, mind you, not shaking down our friends, not shaking down France or England or Italy, but shaking down corrupt oligarchs in communist China to the tune of over $20 million. Hunter was the salesman, but the product was Joe Biden's personal favors, and that is, if true, corruption at the very highest level of government.
It was daddy's business. And basically Hunter Biden was the salesman. He has no marketable skills. He was the buffer so that they could send money to the Biden family. And we know that millions and millions of dollars had been sent to the Biden family. And the question is, what were they selling? They were selling access to the Vice President of the United States, the man who is now the President of the United States. It's ugly. It's really, really, really ugly how this is all playing out. I think Ted Cruz has it right. Look, the fix is in. Don't have any great expectations that somehow, that this guy Weiss is going to come out of and find a backbone and conduct a real investigation. I just don't see that as happening. And there may be a challenge to his authority as a special counsel under the law. We'll see how that plays out. But the one thing that I am happy about is that we now have, we still have the ability of the Republican House to continue to send out subpoenas, to get bank records, to put this stuff together. And each and every, they're doing a great job, by the way. They're doing a phenomenal job in putting together the case against Hunter and Joe Biden and the Biden family enterprise. They are really doing a great job. And so we'll watch that and see how it plays out in the days ahead. But I'm now in favor, 1,000%, 1,000,000% in favor of beginning the impeachment inquiry. It sort of supercharges the ability of the House of Representatives to conduct an investigation. And we need to get on to that. Move on to it. There's enough there to open up the impeachment inquiry. I don't know whether or not it will actually end in impeachment, but one way or the other, to dig to your best ability, you need to go ahead and start the impeachment inquiry. 20 minutes now past the hour of 5 o'clock. Have you noticed how unreliable things are these days? Like when someone tells you, oh, they'll be ready at 4. And then you look around and you go, well, it's not ready. People are really tired of that kind of stuff. And if you've had it with unreliable vehicle repair shops, then why don't you come to Eurofix? Eurofix turns unreliable into reliable. And Eurofix has your vehicle ready when they said it's going to be ready, so that you don't stand around and tap your toe waiting. Eurofix repairs all European cars with quality that beats the dealer without dealer pricing. That's because dealer repair shops are designed to pay virtually all of a dealership's overhead, and that's a lot of money. I mean, why would you want to pay for that? At Eurofix, reliable means a 3-year nationwide warranty plus a free loaner car with every repair appointment. Make sure you call ahead, as loaner cars are very popular. If you're tired of unreliable repair shops, come to where it is reliable. Eurofix, family owned for 24 years. Call 844-EUROFIX or visit myEurofix.com. That's myEurofix.com.
Maui still needing help after devastating wildfires. A member of higher education in Tennessee now retiring, and former President Trump takes to his social media platform as more charges against him seem imminent. All of those stories and more 30 minutes after the hour of 5 o'clock. I'm Mac Morey right here on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
It's 25 minutes now past the hour of 5 o'clock on Super Talk 99.7. I'm Brian Wilson, and you're listening to The Drive. Let's talk about very quickly what's going on the border. 40,000 migrants have been apprehended along the southwest border in the first 10 days of August. You know, we're not talking about the border all that much, but the problem is still real. And the other day there was a piece of video just absolutely just infuriated me. It was captured by a drone that's run by the Texas Department of Public Safety. And what it appeared to show was on the Mexican side of the river, there were people who were trying to come across the river, but the people from the cartels were threatening them with machetes. And then, you know, they were basically, it was a shakedown. You're going to pay us before we allow you to cross the river. And they were, threatening them with the machete. And then they were just going through their belongings. Basically just made them sit down and like a bunch of thugs, they just started opening up backpacks and everything that they had. The poor people there didn't have any belongings to begin with, but by gosh, they were going to have all their belongings searched by the cartels to find out if they had any money that could be paid to them before they could come across the river. It's just infuriating. You know, first of all, none of this would happen if we didn't have a border policy that is essentially the border is open, come on in, everything is good. When you do that, when you have a policy like that, people will come. It's a magnet. And it continues to be a magnet, and it continues to be a problem. And everything that's going on seems to be nothing more than the Department of Homeland Security doing everything they can to get people into this country and to make them, give them a piece of paper and let them come into America where they will evaporate into the fabric of the nation. Here's this from justthenews.com. DHS plans to move to shield some undocumented migrants from deportation. The Department of Homeland Security under Alexandro Mayorkas has drafted a proposal to allow some unauthorized immigrants living in the U.S. to hold jobs for up to 5 years, which is more than twice the current time allowed. The change, if adopted, would apply to people who crossed the border and then filed asylum claims trying to stop their deportation, and to people seeking to win legal permanent residency known as a green card. This according to the Washington Times. Currently, the maximum amount for a work permit, officially known as an employment authorization document, is 2 years. U.S. Citizenship and Immigration Services said extending it to 5 years would be more efficient for everyone involved. There you go. Tells you what their real plan is. The border, I'm telling you, I think that this is sort of a sleeper issue. I mean, we're not seeing it in the news all that much. The news comes and they stay for a day or two and then they move on. Bill Maloogian's the only guy, and with Fox and maybe a couple, 2, 3 others who've been down there trying to tell people what's going on. But at the end of the day, it's not getting a lot of nationwide coverage, but the people of America know what's going on. They're not stupid to what's happening. They're aware, and it angers them that their border is being, run over. Just completely, there is no border effectively because of the Biden policy for immigration. So I think that as we move forward, that's one issue that's really going to sort of raise its ugly head in the middle of these presidential election cycles. People are upset about it, and they should be. 30 minutes now past the hour of 5 o'clock.
5:30, I'm Mac Maury with your top stories. Some showers possible later tonight with a clear, sunny, and hot week ahead. Complete forecast, latest traffic report upcoming in 5 minutes. Federal officials working as fast as they can to help those who lost everything in the Maui fires. Andy Field with an update from the White House.
The federal government hasn't yet estimated the cost of sending food, water, first aid, and medical supplies, and that's just a start.
This is in addition to what they will also be able to be eligible for in cash assistance for the loss of their homes or the loss of their personal property.
FEMA Secretary Deanne Criswell saying every surviving resident is receiving an immediate $700 crisis check to cover essentials for now.
And the death count from those fires up to 96. News at Tennessee State University. TSU's president, Dr. Glenda Glover, announced this morning her plans to retire in the spring after 10 years spent in higher education. Dr. Glover graduated from the university and worked her way up to president of that HBCU. She made a statement saying that she will be, quote, forever grateful for this honor of a lifetime. And while a Georgia district attorney is expected to present the case against former President Trump for alleged election interference, Trump is once again commenting on a social media platform. Brittany Shepard brings us the latest.
As a potential fourth indictment looms for former President Trump, he's taken to Truth Social to attack Fulton County District Attorney Fani Willis. They are alleging leaks to the media and insisting he did not, as he wrote, tamper in the last election. He continues to further false claims that the election was rigged.
And that is the latest news, traffic, and weather on the way. I'm Mac Maury, WTN News.
We are live at J Street Free Grill and Bar. This was a fantastic experience. We're cooking everything in front of us right here at the table. We've had ribeye, J Street's famous steak. We had lemon pepper chicken. We had bulgogi. I'm probably butchering it, but I asked like 3 or 4 times how to pronounce it. So it's not for a lack of trying. But you need to try and get out here August 15th. We're going to have a live event, Super Talk Live. Brian Wilson's going to be doing a show. Me, Dan Mandis, Matt Furphy, Pamela Furr, Johnny B. Everybody's going to be here. We're going to cook at the table. We're going to talk politics. All you can eat food. And believe me, look at this spread. When they say all you can eat, it's all you can eat. So join us. Grab your tickets at 997WTN.com. Promo code Chris. And if you need help cooking your steak, I'm here for you. Let's do this thing together.
Let's talk about Everseal and more importantly, explain to you exactly what Everseal is. It's a sealant for your wood and concrete. It's actually been around for ages, but it's most usually used in industrial applications. And the folks at Everseal figured out how to provide a permanent solution for sealing your exterior wood and concrete at a price that home and business owners can actually afford. And what they do is they come in first and they deep clean all the way through to your wood and concrete to make it look as good as it possibly can look. And then they will use their patented seal that will absorb all the way through to become a permanent part of your wood and concrete to prevent any further deterioration for the next 30 to 50 years. I mean, think about that for a while. How much money can you save? Just think about sealing your deck. You seal your deck every year, right? Or you should. And so you get, how much that costs you in time and money and effort? 1 year, 2 years, 5 years, 10 years, 20 years. Think about it. If you don't have to do that, you can actually enjoy your deck rather than spending all that money and continuing to work on it annually. This sounds like a good idea. Why don't you reach out to Steve Nelson and the team over at Everseal? I think it's a great idea, and they do too. 1-844-EVER-USA. That's 844-EVER-USA. Learn more by going to their website, ever-seal.com. Good afternoon, everybody. It is 5:37 now on Super Talk 99.7. I'm Brian Wilson, your friend and radio buddy, and we're so glad that you're with us on the drive. Get you home safely. I want to mention that tomorrow at this time we'll be at the big Woo-Ha deal thing over at in what do you call it? Hendersonville. What do you call it? Hendersonville. I call it Hendersonville. The J Street Korean Grill and Bar in Hendersonville. By the way, I've seen some pictures of this place. It seems pretty swank.
It really does.
Looks pretty nice. I'm looking forward to it. First of all, I love Korean barbecue, and I love the experience of like having it cooked right there at your table. And honestly, if you've never had this experience, if it seems, well, that sounds like an unusual thing. Well, no, it's pretty cool. It's pretty cool, and I think you would enjoy it. And so, if you don't know, Dan Mandis, Chris Hand, Matt Murphy, Johnny B, Pamela Furr will all be there tomorrow. The drive will start there at 3 o'clock, and we'll do sort of the regular show, so you can come by early and say hello. I'd love to have you come by, and you come by and say hello and shake my hand. One thing I just want to mention to folks is that, if you see me with headphones on and there's a microphone in front of me and I'm talking, it means I'm on the air, which makes it sort of hard for me to have a conversation with you. I'd love to have a conversation with you, but it's a little hard, or maybe we're just about to go back on the air. I just always worry about, because people will walk right up and start talking to you. Because I'm always excited to see people. I love talking to people, but sometimes they don't understand that it is also a broadcast, and I have to work out certain things, read spots, do the whole 9 yards. So when I'm on the microphone, it's a little hard to talk, but I still, during the commercial breaks, love to have a chance to talk to you. Now, first 3 hours, a regular show that we call The Drive. The last hour, I talked to Dan about it, how we're going to go about this, and we're just going to make that the round table. And the round table, I understand, is being sponsored by Oil Fire Whiskey. Now, apparently they're a part of our sponsorship there tomorrow, and they'll have some samples to taste. Did you hear me? I said there'll be samples to taste.
Well, I might have to make a run out there then. Save me some.
Listen, I know it's going to be great. And then, at 7 o'clock, we'll just, we'll spend the rest of the evening doing meet and greet and talking to you and visiting with you. It's going to be great. I have not been around Chris Hand all that much because we work in, different times of the day. He works downtown. I work in bucolic Watertown, but one way or the other, you'll get to meet him. I think I've listened to his show. I like what I hear there. And, of course, it's always good to see, Matt Murphy, Dan Mandis. Boy, Matt Murphy has been really dissing me lately.
Has he?
Yeah. Have you not heard?
I must have missed that.
No, I got dissed again today.
Well, I heard that he failed to leave enough time to have a little, what are we calling it? The chit-chat with Matt?
The chat with Matt. Yeah. That's what I wanted to call it, and so we there's 2 times now in recent days where he forgot to leave enough time. He forgot about your friend and radio buddy.
Yeah, on Friday it was Mac's fault, right? That's what we determined. It was all his fault. The Mac attack got in the way.
That's fair.
Yeah.
I'll take the blame on that one.
You got a little carried away with the Mac attack, and he ran out of time. And so I work very diligently to get my business in order, so that I can, be ready to have this nice little chat. It's called a smooth transition, where we talk about, how did your show go? And, here's what I got coming up and all that kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Not once, but twice.
Well, you just mentioned diligently and Matt Murphy in the same sentence, so I don't.
Well, okay, and I
know. Yeah. Have you met Matt Murphy? Yeah.
That's right. This is Matt Murphy, and now I understand. And now, but he apologized profusely both times. But now I've sort of got my nose out of joint. I just want to say.
Well, you better do some schmoozing tomorrow when you guys are together.
Yeah, that's right. Well, we'll all be
maybe
together.
I'll buy you a drink.
Yeah, well, he's buying a lot of drinks is what I hear. I don't know.
You better watch out.
Yep, that's right. All right, let me just say, once again, tickets are available, 997WTN.com. There is a promo code, and you can save $15. Just use the promo code Chris, as in Christopher, Chris, CHRIS, and save yourself some dough. And I'll look forward to seeing you. And I promise that I will be nice.
Pinky promise?
I heard from somebody who said I wasn't nice at one of these things. I can't imagine that. I mean, I look forward to talking to people. I can't imagine.
They must have just caught you at a bad time.
Well, I suspect what happened is that they came up to me just as I was about ready to go back on air. And you just simply have to cut people short because, you've got an audience of
that's what you do,
hundreds of thousands of people out there, and you've got to be ready when you come back on air. And, when you're in the middle of the show, you have to keep your head down and sort of stay into the show. I mean, I guess that's what it was. I don't know. But I'll find out. I'm going to call and find out what I did.
Okay. Well, I hope it goes well.
I'll let you know tomorrow.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah. Anyway, you know what? We have a disaster on our hands in Maui. I mean, my gosh, have you seen the pictures? If you've looked at any TV news at all, you know that this is a catastrophe of the first order. Honestly, I don't know what happened, but apparently, I'm guessing, they had hurricane level winds, and apparently there was a spark and a fire. I don't know where the spark came from. Maybe the power lines got knocked down. Who knows? But boy, once it started, there's not much you can do. And quite frankly, no matter how good your responses are in a time like that, sometimes you're just overwhelmed by Mother Nature and 80-mile-an-hour winds. How do you fight a fire at 80-mile-an-hour winds? The death toll is somewhere, I think it's near 100. I've seen 93, I've seen 96, but it's getting close to 100 people died. And quite frankly, if the numbers of people that they've not been able to find are any indication, that number could climb quite dramatically. And so it's when I look at this, I go, well, that's where we need to hear. If you're there, remember Katrina, remember some of these other natural disasters that we've had. You want to hear from your federal government. You want them there to help you as soon as possible. And here is from Maui, Deanna Criswell, I'm sorry, who is the FEMA administrator.
Nothing can prepare you for what I saw during my time here, and nothing can prepare them for the emotional toll of the impact that this severe event has taken on them. The coming days and the weeks, they're going to be tough. They're going to be difficult as people process what they have lost and what the road ahead looks like. But we are going to be with the people of Hawaii, as I have committed to the governor, every step of the way. We are already seeing a tremendous amount of efforts and resiliency across the community as they are coming together to support each other as they work through what this is going to look like in the future. And together with our voluntary agencies and our federal partners, we will be in Hawaii every step of the way to help residents take control of their recovery and help them rebuild in a way that is going to make them more resilient.
So I have a couple of thoughts here. And one of them is that I think about this every time there is some kind of big natural disaster. And that is, are you ready for, something of this nature should it happen to you? I mean, we have, the possibility of an earthquake here, believe it or not, a pretty good possibility that we might one day have a really devastating earthquake in Tennessee. And then we have the possibility of wildfires. We have the possibility of tornadoes. I can speak from personal experience what it is to be run out of your house because of a tornado. So that can happen. But are you prepared for the fact that it may take several days for the federal government to really get its resources in place? I mean, if you know a hurricane's coming and you're preparing for a hurricane, you can pre-deploy. And nobody really, honestly, in a million years thought that Maui was going to burn to the ground. I mean, burn to a crisp. I mean, there's not much left in some parts of that island. So it's hard to pre-deploy for that. So it's going to take them a while to get in and get their resources. First responders are on the scene, but, the government takes a few days. So, are you ready, honestly, at your house to get, 4 or 5 days down the path before you can expect that, uncle's going to come to your help? I always ask that question. I asked this question. I just heard in the news report, yeah, but don't worry, we're going to give everybody a $700 check. Just tell me where you're going to cash that check. There's no electricity in large parts of the island. Are the banks open? I doubt it. The entire island is pretty much shut down. $700 checks doesn't do much for you if you can't cash the check. So, I always ask people, do you have cash stuck back in the family safe? I mean, honestly, you need to have some. In times of disaster, you've got to put some money back. You've got to have honest cash on the barrelhead money. It will serve you well in the early going. And there are other things, how do you have any kind of water stuck back? What would you do if you didn't have much time? I just think that we need, it's just a good mental exercise to go through each time you hear something like this and think about, well, how would I have reacted in that situation? And what would I do if something like that were to happen here? These poor people, they've lost their homes. They've lost their cars. There are people who have literally lost everything that they've worked for. And this beautiful island is just now just ash and soot. Interesting that we have not heard the President of the United States make any comment about this as yet. He's not had a damn thing to say about it. Now, look, I don't know that it makes any difference to the people on the ground, but in times of a natural disaster, I think you want the leader of the free world to be there and to speak. He's been asked on several occasions, of course, across the course of his weekend. He's within shouting distance of cameras. Mr. President, can we ask you about Maui? No comment. You don't have a comment? Are you going to Maui? No, you can't really, we're looking at it. I don't know whether he will go or not. It seems like to me he's likely to go. He tends to go to places where he knows he's going to be welcomed. And Maui is, pretty Democrat, pretty blue state. Hawaii is. So I don't know. I think that'll be interesting to see. But the reason he's not coming to the microphones is because he's afraid the second question will be about his son, Hunter Biden, and about all of that. And that's why he's avoiding the reporters. Well, you know what? He's the commander-in-chief. He's the leader of the free world. He is the president of the freaking United States, and he needs to be there for the people and have something to say in their time of disaster. But we don't have the kind of president who can do that. 51 minutes now past the hour of 5 o'clock. The Wellness Institute of Nashville, I've been there a lot because not only do I advertise for them, I'm also a patient there. You may have heard me talk about non-surgical spinal decompression. This is really sort of one of the go-to therapies for people who have pain in their arms, their legs, their neck, their back, or maybe a tingling in some of the extremities. The non-surgical spinal decompression can actually help with that therapy, can help a whole wide range of issues. And now they've got a new thing that's sort of like the non-surgical spinal decompression, but it's aimed at the knee. Dr. Kevin Mitchell, Dr. Ashley Mitchell now offer the first of its kind KT machine It's aimed at your knee. It gently elongates the knee and the joint and allows the meniscus and the cartilage to receive the healing therapy without the need for surgery or, and more importantly, painkillers. You take advantage if you're a new patient of their 2023 special. You get an exam, consultation, x-rays if needed. Bring in an MRI if you've got one. Dr. Mitchell will go over your condition, get you started. Again, that's $23 for new patients. Starts with a phone call, 615-246-5009. Learn more at painisbad.com.
If you have a 401k at work, chances are you've seen something called a target date fund. Now, the idea behind a target date fund is if you're going to retire in a specific year, let's say 2030, all you do is put all your money in that fund. You don't even have to think about it. Set it and forget it is the idea. Now, one of the things that I warn people about regarding these types of funds is many times they're not nearly as diversified as you think. When we look at investing, when we look at diversification, we want to own really small companies, really large companies, really growth-oriented, really value-oriented companies, and diversify between these different market areas. Target date funds tend to focus more attention down here for a really basic reason. It sells better. Because you're investing in very big, well-known U.S. companies, what happens is investors tend to like to look like the market, as we say. And the problem, though, is when we do that is we can go very long periods of time. 1966 through 1982 is one example. More recently, 2000 through 2012, where large U.S. stocks had no return, where other market segments actually did quite well. So one of the things that happens is when we invest in a target date fund, we may be overly concentrated and have more risk than we really realize. So if you want to learn more about our approach to investing and financial planning and how we educate investors, go to paulwinkler.com and set up a free 15-minute phone call, or you can call 615-851-1950.
6:01, I'm Mac Maury with your top stories. Right now, 90 degrees, possible showers later on. Forecast, latest traffic report on the way in 5 minutes. The Fulton County District Attorney appears to be on the cusp of asking a grand jury to bring criminal charges against former President Donald Trump. Stephen Portnoy is in Atlanta.
Anticipation here is high that an indictment is imminent. Testimony that had been expected to be given to the grand jury tomorrow was moved to today, an indication that prosecutors have been moving swiftly through their presentation. Former President Trump said on social media that one of the witnesses, former Georgia Lieutenant Governor Jeff Duncan, shouldn't testify. Duncan was president of the state Senate when Georgia lawmakers came under pressure from Trump allies to award the state's electoral votes to the losing candidate.
Teen crime in Tennessee, 18-year-old Alicia McKnight facing 42 charges related to vehicle theft. She's been on the top 10 most wanted list for weeks and was caught this weekend trying to break into more vehicles. A police chase then reportedly ensued. Officials eventually were able to track her down and had to tase McKnight. She's still in jail on a $200,000 bond. Staying here in the volunteer state, a Mount Juliet firefighter still hospitalized after Saturday's fire at the Glass Creek Apartments, possibly caused by lightning. Police Captain Tyler Chandler explains what happened.
At some moment during that, the building started to collapse while 3 firefighters were inside. One was in a situation where he could not immediately get out.
American Red Cross is assisting those who were displaced. 3 cats are still missing, and donations from locals around the state are pouring in for those who were displaced by that fire. Football, the Associated Press released their preseason 2023 top 25 rankings today, and you know what that means. The Vols are back. They were number 12 in the rankings, flanked by Texas ahead of them at 11, Notre Dame on their heels at 13. As for the rest of the SEC, Georgia was number 1. Alabama came in at number 4. No number 1 votes for the Tide. LSU at 5, and then back-to-back at 22 and 23 were Ole Miss and Texas A&M. The Vols open up their season right here in Music City. It's on September 2nd at Nissan Stadium, and it'll be against Virginia. And right now, they're 4-touchdown favorites. That's the latest news. Traffic and weather next. I'm Mac Maury, WTN News.
We are live at J Street Free Grill and Bar. This was a fantastic experience. We're cooking everything in front of us right here at the table. We've had ribeye, J Street's famous steak. We had lemon pepper chicken. We had bulgogi. I'm probably butchering it, but I asked like 3 or 4 times how to pronounce it. So it's not for a lack of trying. But you need to try and get out here August 15th. We're going to have a live event, Super Talk Live. Brian Wilson's going to be doing a show. Me, Dan Mandis, Matt Furphy, Pamela Fur, Johnny B. Everybody's going to be here. We're going to cook at the table. We're going to talk politics. All you can eat food. And believe me, look at this spread. When they say all you can eat, it's all you can eat. So join us. Grab your tickets at 997WTN.com. Promo code Chris. And if you need help cooking your steak, I'm here for you. Let's do this thing together.
Good evening, everyone. It is 7 minutes past the hour of 6 o'clock on Super Talk 99.7. I'm Brian Wilson, your friend and radio buddy, and you're listening to The Drive, and we've got some good stuff lined up here for you. So much to talk about here going on in the world, but I'm picking up that there is something happening. It's like that old Buffalo Springfield song, something happening here. What it is ain't exactly clear. I'm sort of trying to put the pieces together. And it's about a song. By now, if you have social media, if you've been around a computer or a phone and have looked at your Facebook page, you have no doubt been introduced to a song by a guy named Oliver Anthony. The name of the song is Rich Men North of Richmond. And it's a song of protest. It's a song that really tries to explain that the Richmond north of Richmond, and by that I'm assuming that the reference is to Washington, D.C., are so completely out of touch with the American people. This song is astonishing because it was like placed out on YouTube. No big recording studio. This is a guy and his resonator guitar and one microphone standing in the woods, and he's just singing a song. I mean, he's got a great voice, and he's just belting it out. And if you haven't heard it, I want you to listen a little bit to the lyrics of Rich Men North of Richmond. Well, I mean, I think you get a sense of it. It is a powerful song. It is a song that seems to be sung almost with a bit of anger in it, and it's gone. I mean, from being something that somebody put out on YouTube to the number one song on iTunes. I mean, this song has struck a nerve. This song and its lyrics are resonating with the American people in a way that is rarely seen. This kind of thing just doesn't happen. And so I know many of you have heard the song, many of you recommended that we play the song, and happy to do so. But I want to know something more specifically. I have a question for you, and the phone lines are open. 615-737-9986. Oliver Anthony, Richmond, north of Richmond. What is it that you think he's tapping in here to that has caused people to so glom onto this song, to be so excited and passionate about this song, to take it from absolute obscurity to the number one song in America? I'd love to know what you think is driving that. What is it, the thing that he's tapping into? What is the reaction? And the number, of course, is 615-737-9986. And we had a great conversation earlier when we opened up the phones for this. So if you've got an idea about this song, what it means and why it seems to be resonating with so many different people, I'd love for you to share it with our audience. Let's start with Scott in Nashville. Scott, you're on with Brian on the Drive. So you've heard the song. What is it you think that's happening here that he's tapping into? What is the nerve that has been struck?
I believe it's talking about just life in general. If you listen to it, it's talking about being taxed to death, drowning yourself in the sorrows like liquor. That's what he's talking. That's what he means, liquor, and that how life ain't worth living because we're taxed to death, and while the rich men up in Washington D.C. or just the rich people in general are living it up on our dollar on the back of the poor man.
Do you think that this is, because I think that maybe there's a bigger story here, that there are things that people are tapping into and they're glomming onto, and there have been some true, this is grassroots is what this is. True grassroots, which you don't see very often. And it seems that maybe that there's, is there a political side to this at all that maybe pretends what might happen in this next election cycle?
Well, yes, the people are getting tired of being taxed, Deb, and the inflation and the high prices. They just want to live and enjoy their living. And if one party's doing that to cause all this sorrow, then they're going to be voting for the party that's not going to do it.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you, Scott. Thank you for that. Thoughtful. I really appreciate it. Let's go to Larry in Clarksville. Larry, good afternoon. You're up next on the drive. What is this song about to you, and what nerve has been struck? I mean, obviously this is resonating with people, sort of like that resonator guitar. It's resonating with people, and people are glomming onto this. What do you read into it? What is the message that seems to be resonating with people in America today?
Well, Brian, thanks for taking my call. And you're absolutely right. There is a bigger picture and a bigger scope to this song. It is not, a Republican or Democrat song. He's pointing out that there are crooks on both sides. He's pointing out that the people are fed up.
And so from a political standpoint, is there anything to draw from that?
Oh, I think, I mean, if we can have, a fair and balanced elections in 2024, I think it's going to be well shown. But, there's still going to be questions about that. I mean, it's going to have to be people, and they can get mad at me all they want. I don't care, man. I'm old. I'm retired. I don't give up, crap. The so-called evangelical Republicans that stayed home in 2020 need to get their rear ends out and vote so that we can make sure Joe Biden or Kamala or Oprah or Michael Obama does not get in office in 2024. And I'll leave it right there, brother, and I'll see you tomorrow night.
All right, look forward to it. Thank you, Larry. Please come shake my hand. All right, listen, got a few lines open. It's 615-737-9986. Toby, you're up next on the drive. Toby, you've heard the song. What do you think is going on here? Why has it so resonated with so many people in America today? What do you think?
I think that the main thing here is the fact that this song, it touches on so many points that so many people really want to say and demonstrate, not demonstrate like in an activism way, but to say, but nobody will stand and say it. It just touches across the board.
And do you think that there is a ramification that this song, if people are responding to this song, is there some political element to it that will perhaps have an impact on the upcoming election cycle?
I would hope it would. I really, really would. I mean, if you stop and listen to the words, the lyrics, and think about it, and try to put it into the context that it needs to be taken in, and just think about it. I called my son and my daughter, both of them today, and said, hey, listen to this song and listen again. And I got a response from one, so, hey.
All right, listen.
But anyhow, that's all I had to say, and good talk to you, and thanks for taking my call.
You bet, Toby. Thanks. Pat in Murfreesboro, you're up next on the drive. What do you say, Pat?
Well, I say we're at war.
And?
I say that we have been attacked now, our very lives, not just our money, not just our livelihood, not just our homes, not just our families. They tried to kill us with the vaccine. They've been trying to kill us with the climate change. Now we see that that's a convenient explanation for the fires they're starting all over the world, specifically in some of the most beautiful and gorgeous places for the elites. We see this. We're not stupid. And that's just it. You know, we feel powerless because we feel that we are under attack, that we are at war. World War III has started, and nobody's saying it. But this implies in that song.
I like the word that you used there. People feel powerless, and I think you're onto something there, Pat. I can't go with everything that you said, but I do believe that there is a feeling of powerlessness among people in America. That somehow nobody's paying attention to what we want anymore, and that the system is all about one side sticking it to the other, and not so much about doing what's right for the people of this country. I think you're onto something there. How about Renee in Nashville? Renee, you're up with Brian on the drive. What do you say, Renee?
Hi there, Brian. I think that he's saying publicly what we've all been saying pretty much behind closed doors, because we're afraid of the FBI or the Secret Service or somebody else from the criminal justice system showing up at our front door and hauling us off. So that's my thought on it.
And do you think it will have an impact? I mean, is it aimed at Republicans? Is it aimed at Democrats? Is it aimed at both?
Anybody who will hear it.
All right, Renee, thank you so much. Let's get one more in here, and then we're going to take a break, and we'll take some more calls. Bill and Dixon. Bill, you're on with Brian on the drive. You've heard the song. What is it about this song that resonates with you, and why do you think it resonates with so many other people? Hello, Bill. Oh, I hate it when that happens. Justin in Old Hickory, very quickly, what is it you think that resonates with people about this song? Justin?
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought you called Bill. I'm sorry about that.
Go ahead. You're up, Justin, you're up.
Oh, man, I'm telling you, it's like what the woman right before me said. It's, people saying, he's saying what people wanted to be saying, or they're talking behind closed doors that they're afraid to say in front of other people because they're going to get, punished or looked down on. I mean, he calls out, the young men working hard, putting themselves in a grave, just to feed the welfare state, to feed, all these people taking advantage of it. And we shouldn't have to pay for his fudge rounds for someone that's 5'3" and 300 pounds. I mean, it's the truth. It's everybody needs to put in their fair share. Welfare was designed for so many other things than what's going on right now. I mean, EBT is everywhere. I mean, you can use it for, not what it's intended for anymore. And we're like turning a blind eye to it.
Yep. Somewhere along the way, things just didn't end up the way that they were intended, did they? And it seems that somewhere along the way, the people that are in charge forgot that actually they're not in charge. We are, right? I mean, I think they've lost sight of that. Listen, we're going to take some more phone calls on this right now. It's 21 minutes past the hour of 6 o'clock on Super Talk 99.7. Wellness Institute of Nashville. Dr. Kevin Mitchell's my doctor. He can be your doctor. 615-246-5009. Again, that number, 615-246-5009. Look, he's got this thing called non-surgical spinal decompression. It really is sort of an amazing therapy, can help so many people with so many different problems. If you have problems in your neck, your arms, your leg, your back, you have a tingling maybe in your extremities, this may well be the thing that can make you feel so much better. I've been through about, 45 of these different sessions, and it really has made a difference in my life. Now, Dr. Kevin Mitchell has another thing. It's called a KT machine. It's like spinal decompression for your knee. It elongates the knee and the joint, allows the meniscus and the cartilage to heal, get the healing therapy without the need for surgery or painkillers. And if you're a new patient, man, we've got a deal for you. $23 your first appointment. You'll get an exam, consultation, x-rays if needed. Bring in an MRI if you've got one. You'll sit down with Dr. Mitchell. He'll come up with a therapy plan for you and get you started again. If you're a new patient, that's only $23. 615-246-5009. Learn more at painisbad.com. Well, I mean, this song has gone from relative obscurity to the number one song on iTunes today. And that's a true grassroots reaction, which doesn't happen very much anymore. What is it about this song that resonates with you and you think maybe resonates with other people? On the phone lines we go. Doug in Mulberry, you're up with Brian on the drive. Doug, good afternoon. What's your thought about all this?
Good afternoon. Your last caller kind of hit the sentiments I'm thinking about, but I'm more like, all these millions and millions of people just walking across the border like they own the place. Here we've been here working our butts off our whole life. I'm 60 years old, been in construction for 40 years, and still having to work so I can make it. My wife's a retired teacher. Our insurance is $1,500 a month just for that. But they can come right over, wham, bam. You got insurance, you get, not insurance, but you get all your medical free. I knew somebody, I used to do construction in Jacksonville, Florida before we moved here. And I knew a lot of, people that were illegal and said, and one told me, he confided in me, he says, as soon as I got here, me and my wife, she was pregnant. We come in over Texas, went to the first hospital, had the baby. It was declared American citizen. So that gave me a grant for a business of $42,000. She got $23,000 for hers plus a housing grant. He's driving around a $70,000 Chevrolet Silverado work truck. Wow. I'm in a 1986, van. That's all I can afford. It boils my grits, man. I'm telling you.
Well, and I think that is, you're exactly right. This is the kind of thing that it's tapping into. It really is. Let me get one more call in here. Kevin in Fairview. Kevin, good evening. You're on with Brian on the Drive. What is it you think is going on with this song that is resonating with so many people like you?
Brian, this has become an anthem of America, honestly. I mean, like, it's the working man's song. It is so indicative of people who are working so hard and trying to pay bills and do everything they can to provide for their families, and they're just spending too much. They're either like they're maxing out their credit cards, they're doing everything they can. But something about this song is it just hits your heart that you could feel it. You could totally feel it in his voice. It's a great song. He's got a great voice, and I think that's what's really hitting the hearts of everybody.
I think you've summed it up quite well. And as I said before, there are only a few things that I can think of where there have been true grass movements of late. I mean, I think you could look back at the Tea Party movement and say that was truly something that came out of nowhere. That came out of sort of a grassroots movement. But it's hard to find those things. Most of them are manufactured. Most of the protests and the things that people get upset about, there's always somebody behind the scene pulling the strings. When something hits people right square between the eyes, right in the heart, as this song does, I think it taps into something in America that I'm not sure exactly what it is, but it's an anger, it's an irritation. It's like we've been pushed around by the folks in Washington way too long. And I have a feeling that this is going to be, you look at Jason Aldean's song, try that in a small town. Look at the reaction to what happened to Budweiser. These things came out of nowhere, completely out of nowhere, because they are resonating with people, because there's an anger, there's a seething that they feel deep within their bones. And I just think it may portend and have a lot to say about how we come out in this next election cycle. It's now 31 minutes past the hour of 6 o'clock on Super Talk 99.7. All right, let's talk about Rhino Shield. Now, I talk all the time about Rhino Shield, and there are people out there who have given their recommendations based on their experience. And I have a couple of friends who, decided, hey, I heard you talk about this, and I'm going to try it for myself. My good friends, the Garretts, and they had the folks at Rhino Shield come out and take a look at their 100-year-old home. And they were actually able to get in there and do an amazing job. The Garretts are beyond pleased with what has happened here. So, look, I mean, I know sometimes, you hear these things and you wonder if it's true. I can tell you from my friends, the Garretts, they're extremely pleased, so pleased that they've got a couple of other projects that they're going to be sending in the direction of the folks at Rhino Shield. You see, what is Rhino Shield? It's not paint. It's 10 times thicker than paint. It's infused with a special 3M ingredient, billions of microspheres that allow the coating to expand and contract. And that's why they offer a 25-year warranty against cracking, chipping, and peeling. Clay Morris and the folks of Rhino Shield have a great reputation. And if this sounds like something you'd be interested in, like my friend the Garretts were, give Clay Morris a call at 615-474-1729. 615-474-1729. Learn more at rhinoshieldnashville.com.
We are live at J Street Free Grill and Bar. This was a fantastic experience. We're cooking everything in front of us right here at the table. We've had ribeye, J Street's famous steak. We had lemon pepper chicken. We had bulgogi. I'm probably butchering it, but I asked like 3 or 4 times how to pronounce it. So it's not for a lack of trying. But you need to try and get out here August 15th. We're going to have a live event, Super Talk Live. Brian Wilson's going to be doing a show. Me, Dan Mandis, Matt Furphy, Pamela Furr, Johnny B. Everybody's going to be here. We're going to cook at the table. We're going to talk politics. All you can eat food. And believe me, look at this spread. When they say all you can eat, it's all you can eat. So join us. Grab your tickets at 997WTN.com. Promo code Chris. And if you need help cooking your steak, I'm here for you. Let's do this thing together.
.639 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. I'm Brian Wilson, and you're listening to The Drive. We're so happy that you're with us. Tomorrow night at this time, we'll be doing our round table at the J Street Korean Bar and Grill in Hendersonville, Tennessee. It's going to be a great time. I'm going to be there. Dan Mandis, Chris Hand, Matt Murphy, Johnny B., Pamela Furr, everybody. I mean, everybody's going to be there. It's going to be a thing happening, and the Korean barbecue is going to be delicious. And we got another sponsor from the folks over at I forget the name of the company. Here it is. I'm pulling it up now as we speak. It is the Oil Fire Whiskey. That's right. Oil Fire Whiskey is going to be there as well. They're part of our roundtable sponsorship, and they'll be having some samples.
Samples?
Did I hear somebody say the word whiskey and samples? Just saying, it's going to be a good time. There are tickets are still available at 997WTN.com. Go ahead and get some tickets. And by the way, save $15 at checkout with the promo code Chris. And so there you have it. Now, there's a guy by the name of Stephen Sund. You may not know this guy. He is the former Capitol Police Chief. And this goes back some time. On January 6th, he was the man in charge. And he has written a book about it, and he's got a lot of things to say. He sat down some time ago with Tucker Carlson back when he was at Fox, and they conducted an interview that was pretty much, eye-opening. And then before it got aired, Tucker got released from Fox, and so he decided to sit back down with Stephen Sund now that he's on the outside doing this thing on Twitter or X, whatever you call it these days. And he re-interviewed Stephen Sund. Now, I'm going to play about, probably almost 2 minutes of what how this interview went and the things that he said about the events of January 6th. And then when I come back, I'm going to go through and lay out in greater detail some of the things that he is alleging. And I think when it's all said and done, you'll have a different feeling about January 6th than perhaps you have right now. Here is former Capitol Hill Police Chief Stephen Sund.
So for the next 71 minutes, I make the 32 calls to a number of agencies. 11 of those calls are follow-up calls. And look in the...
Let me back up a little bit because I need to set that up a little bit. He says that when things started to go sideways, he made a call to get some help from the National Guard and from the military. And he called Nancy Pelosi to get permission to do that. And it took 71 minutes for Nancy Pelosi to get back to him. Here we go again.
So for the next 71 minutes, I make the 32 calls to a number of agencies. 11 of those calls are follow-up calls. And look in the Senate combined report from 2001. They have a great infographic of the call after call after call after call. 11 times I call in the next 71 minutes going, where are we on the approval? Where are we on the approval? Here's any minute now. Any minute. I'm going to get any minute. Finally at 2:09, 71 minutes later, 2:09, I'm finally given approval. Think about that. 71 minutes later, I immediately call Mike Stinger, say we've got approval. I was so pissed off, I made sure that the watch commander, I'm in the command center, I yelled to John Wisham, the lieutenant, that's my watch commander. I said, John, mark the time as 2:10. I finally got approval for the National Guard.
National Guard. But it took 71 minutes to get an answer from Nancy Pelosi. Does she not have a cell phone? Does she not have staff with her? How would it possibly take 71 minutes? Outrageous. He continues.
I was that mad.
So what is I just want to pause on this for a minute. That's it's almost unbelievable. So this is an event that Pelosi herself has likened to Pearl Harbor and 9/11, the worst thing that's ever happened on American soil. And she's in charge of allowing the National Guard to come in and respond, but she doesn't for 71 minutes. What is that?
I can't fathom why.
We're only 10 minutes into this, and you've told me two things. One, the other federal agencies withheld critical information from you in charge of security at the Capitol before January 6th. And once it started and things got out of control, for 71 minutes, Pelosi refused to allow you to bring in the National Guard. So those are two of the biggest questions from January 6th. And my question is, why don't we have answers to why that happened?
It doesn't seem like people really want to get to the bottom of it. It really doesn't. And it just gets worse. It gets worse from there.
Well, let me go through some of the things that have been revealed by the former police chief up on Capitol Hill about January 6th. From thefederalist.com, a really, really great article. and it lays out 7 revelations that you may not have heard before. Number one, that the DHS, the Department of Homeland Security, and the FBI hid intelligence from Capitol Police. The Sun has made the explosive allegation of federal misconduct related to the Capitol chaos that raised more questions than answers about how and why the complex was left vulnerable. The Capitol Police, Sun said, were left in the dark about a cascade of intelligence gathered by the FBI and the Department of Homeland Security that warned about the rally's turning point. The intelligence that Capitol Police gathered, Sun said, indicated a level of political activity similar to previous rallies, limited skirmishes with counter-protesters. Coming into it, Sun said, Capitol Police received absolutely zero of the intelligence that we now know existed about attacking the Capitol, killing my police officers, attacking members of Congress, and trying to kill members of Congress. None of that was included in the intelligence coming up. We now know FBI, DHS was swimming in that intelligence. We also know now that the military seemed to have some concerning intelligence as well. None of that intelligence was shared with Capitol Police. Number two, Milley wanted to shut down D.C. in advance of January 6th. Military officials were so concerned about the intelligence that warned of an explosive riot that the chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, Mark Milley, considered preemptively shutting down their city. Acting Secretary of Defense Christopher Miller and Milley both had discussed locking down the city because they were worried about violence at the Capitol. According to Sun, the two Pentagon leaders discussed even revoking permits on Capitol Hill out of concern for violence. You know who issues the permits on Capitol Hill for demonstrations? Sun said. I do. Do you know who wasn't told? Me. Number three, congressional leadership denied National Guard requests before and during the riot. That's right. They were talked to about it in advance. It went to two people. At the time, it went to Nancy Pelosi, who was in charge of the House, but is really considered sort of the mayor of Capitol Hill, and Mitch McConnell over in the Senate. Both turned down a preemptive request for National Guard to be at the Capitol because they didn't like the optics of it all. We continue. Number four, the Secret Service turned over only one text to the January 6th committee. One of the first people to offer assistance was the United States Secret Service, Sun said. By law, I shouldn't have requested their assistance until I had my approval, but I'm looking at my men and women having their butts handed to them, and my first thought was, well, screw it. I've got to do whatever I've got to do. Send me whatever you got. That was the one text that Secret Service turned over. The New Jersey, number five, the New Jersey State Police arrived before the National Guard did. That's unbelievable. The New Jersey State Police arrived on scene before the National Guard could get its act together. Number six, Sun was not told about federal informants present at the Capitol. And the Justice Department even deployed commandos with shoot-to-kill authority at the Capitol. According to Newsweek, there were all kinds of federal informants there. Sun was never told about that. And number seven, lawmakers did not want Sun to testify. Why? Because I think he would have had very harsh things to say about leadership of the House of Representatives, especially Nancy Pelosi. And so they did not want him to testify. And as far as I know, even in the final J6 report, he is barely mentioned. They didn't want to talk to him. They didn't want to talk to the guy who had probably more information than anybody else. Look, a lot has been said about January 6th, and, I was there that day. I can only tell you what I saw from my vantage point with my eyes. But as I have continued to follow this story, it seems that there's a lot that was going on there about that event that the federal government seemed to be plugged into, but they weren't sharing with the right people. the people who were ultimately responsible for making the Capitol secure on January 6th. So we continue to watch this, but I thought it's worth your time, if you want to go back and look at it, to hear Tucker's interview, and complete interview, with the police chief on Capitol Hill, which is now out there. He's put it out there on Twitter. It is 50 minutes past the hour of 6 o'clock. All right, TikTok, Genesis Diamond's most extreme values on diamond engagement rings coming to an end. You have until Sunday at 5 p.m. to get the price of a lifetime on a certified GIA certified diamond. That's right. Response has been incredible. People have driven for hours to buy like a dealer buys. All GIA certified diamond rings on sale. A full 20% discount off Genesis' amazing everyday value price. We're talking about values you never thought possible, from a half carat to 20 carats, hand-picked for maximum brilliance and all graded by the most prestigious gem lab in the world. Don't be surprised to see a jewelry store owner or diamond dealer shopping right there alongside you. Rounds, radians, pear shapes, ovals, princess cuts, cushion cuts, emerald cuts. Genesis has the largest GIA diamond ring selection you've ever seen. And now through Sunday, you can take advantage of this rare buying opportunity. Limit one per customer, please. Get the Genesis no middleman direct importer price minus an extra 20% on all GIA diamond engagement rings. Now through Sunday at Genesis Diamonds, Green Hills, and Cool Springs. See store for details.
If you have a 401k at work, chances are you've seen something called a target date fund. Now, the idea behind a target date fund is if you're going to retire in a specific year, let's say 2030, all you do is put all your money in that fund and you don't even have to think about it. Set it and forget it is the idea. Now, one of the things that I warn people about regarding these types of funds is many times they're not nearly as diversified as you think. When we look at investing, when we look at diversification, we want to own really small companies, really large companies, really growth-oriented, really value-oriented companies, and diversify between these different market areas. Target date funds tend to focus more attention down here for a really basic reason. It sells better. Because you're investing in very big, well-known U.S. companies, what happens is investors tend to like to look like the market, as we say. And the problem, though, is when we do that is we can go very long periods of time. 1966 through 1982 is one example. More recently, 2000 through 2012, where large U.S. stocks had no return, where other market segments actually did quite well. So one of the things that happens is when we invest in a target date fund, we may be overly concentrated and have more risk than we really realize. So if you want to learn more about our approach to investing and financial planning and how we educate investors, go to paulwinkler.com and set up a free 15-minute phone call, or you can call 615-851-1950.
Well, thank you so much for being a part of what we do here each day on The Drive. That's going to wrap it up for me. The great one, Mark Levin, is next. See you tomorrow, broadcasting live from the J Street Korean Grill and Bar in Hendersonville. That'll be running from 3 to 7, and everybody will be on the dais starting at 6 o'clock. So that'll be a great deal of fun. We'll see you then. In the meantime, let me tell you about AssistedFamilyCare.com. You know, one of the hardest things we see as we grow older into adulthood is that our parents and loved ones are getting to an age where they're struggling with their day-to-day lives. It reminds us they're approaching a time when they will need more and more help each day. Well, this is where Assisted Family Care can help. They can connect you with a responsible, compatible, compassionate helper to assist you with your loved one's daily needs. And if your loved one is a veteran or a spouse or a widow of a veteran, they could very well qualify for a little-known benefit that will help cover these kinds of expenses. Assisted Family Care has years of experience in helping those in Middle Tennessee who qualify to get access to this benefit. You see, many veterans are eligible to receive up to 20 hours of daily living assistance each week at no cost to them. Not everyone is eligible, but if you're a veteran with wartime service, you may well qualify for this benefit for yourself or your spouse. Assisted Family Care can help. Assisted Family Care is there for you. 615-833-9725.
You're out of breath. Your constant dry cough just won't go away. It might be asthma, it might be COPD, but it could be interstitial lung disease. ILD won't wait, and neither should you. So ask your doctor. Find a pulmonologist. The sooner you know, the sooner you and your family can face ILD together. With ILD, knowledge is power, and your strongest advocate is you. Go to lungsandyou.com/learn more.
Hey gang, Chris Weber from The Drive, and I am excited to be the latest member of the team to tell you about the Wellness Institute of Nashville. I've heard great things for years, and now I'm going to find out for myself. If you've got pain, join me. Dr. Kevin Mitchell and Dr. Ashley are bringing back the half-off spinal decompression treatment and half-off the KT knee machine for the month of August. And not to mention the 2023 special, new